Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for attending tonight's town board meeting. Before we get started, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, so would everybody please rise? And Councilman Borelli, would you lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as we go through our daily life and everybody's healthy and smiling with their families. Let us remember the Ferrari family is still looking for closure almost 6 months later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, once again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here, and thank you all at home for watching this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Today's date is Wednesday, September 26th, 2018. And for the record, so the public is aware, at 6 p.m. this evening, the Town Board met in executive session with the membership, the commissioners or directors of the Mahopac Volunteer Fire Department to discuss a litigation update and a contractual matter with the fire department. And the second item that we discussed is, as you're aware, that the Town Board is in negotiations with the Mahopac National Bank, Tompkins Trust Bank, to purchase properties that they own at the intersection of 6 and 6N. So that was a contractual matter. It was an update that was given to the board with respect to the negotiations. So for the record, all Town Board members are present with us this evening, as is our Town Clerk, Ann Spofford, all the way down to my right, and the gentleman all the way down to my left with the nice lavender color tie on tonight is Greg Fulchetti. He's the Town Council, Town Attorney for the Town Board. So the first item on the agenda tonight is a public hearing in the matter of the increase and improvements of facilities of the Carmel Water District Number 9 in the Town of Carmel. This is one of our municipal water districts, and this is for additional costs that will be incurred for upgrades and improvements to that water district. It's the Mahopac Hills section of town, also known as the Vista Terrace section off of Westlake Boulevard, that we're going to be discussing under the public hearing. So the board then, after the public hearing, there's a resolution to consider authorizing the issuance of an additional $567,200 in bonds of the Town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York, to pay for part of the cost of the increase and improvements of the facilities of the Carmel Water District. So the $567,200 is in addition to $882,000 that was previously authorized for the work to be done at that particular water district. This is an increase in the amounts as the bids for that project came in higher than what was originally estimated to cost. So we have to go out now and borrow the additional funds to pay for the cost of the improvements to that district. So if you're a resident of Carmel Water District Number 9, 1B on the agenda tonight is to authorize the additional borrowing for the work for that district. So when you come up for the public hearing, just so you understand that the board will act on the resolution authorizing the additional borrowing for that project tonight. So just understand that the board will take action on that, on the additional funds. All right, so without any further ado, we need to move along, and I'm going to ask the Town Clerk, Ann Spofford, to please read the notice of for the public hearing.
Notice is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York, will meet at the Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue in Mahopac, New York, in said town on the 26th day of September 2018 at 7 o'clock p.m. prevailing time for the purpose of conducting a public hearing upon a certain map, plan, and report, including an estimated cost prepared in relation to the proposed increase and improvement of the facilities of the Carmel Water District Number 9 in the Town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York, consisting of the reconstruction of water mains, including incidental improvements and expense in connection therewith. The new maximum estimated cost of the aforesaid increase improvement of the facilities of the Carmel Water District Number 9 in the town is $1,450,000, consisting of an increase of $567,200 for such improvements. Said capital project has been determined to be a Type 2 action pursuant to the regulations of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation promulgated pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, as proposed. As such, it has been determined that it will not result in any significant adverse environmental impact. SECRA compliance materials are on file in the office of the town clerk, where they may be inspected during regular business hours. At said public hearing, said town board will hear all persons interested in the subject matter thereof. The town board will make every effort to assure that the public hearing is accessible to persons with disabilities. Anyone requiring special assistance and/or reasonable accommodations should contact the town clerk. Dated Mahopac, New York, September 13th, 2018, by order of the town board of the town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York. Ann Spofford, town clerk.
Thank you, Ann. Make a motion.
Need a motion? Yep.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Schneider, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci to open the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Board members in favor? Aye. Okay, this time the public hearing is open, and I have one person that signed up, and R. Estrella. Is there an R. Estrella here from 185 Lakeshore Drive? Did someone named R. Estrella sign up to speak at the public hearing? The names, they wrote the name down on here.
No, but I would like to speak. I wasn't aware that we had to sign up.
For the public
This
hearing,
is
you'd
for
like
the
to
water
speak?
district.
Oh, okay.
For the water district only, yeah. So is there,
What's the address?
it's 185 Lakeshore Drive. I don't think that's in,
That may be for the board
no,
on the other
okay.
side.
All right, yeah.
It could be on over there.
All right, well, so this person is obviously not here to speak regarding this public hearing. All right, so is there any other members of the public that would like to come up at this time and speak on the public hearing for Water District Number 9? Come on up.
Hi, my name's Steve Lancadara. I'm with the Mahopac Hills Association on Water District 9. Caught me off a little guard there, but it's okay. You guys are going to allocate more money for this project to be completed as that. We went from 25 lineal feet, 2,525 lineal feet, and now at the cost of $882, I believe. And now we're going to be going for more money to do the same amount of work. Is there any reason why we're going for more money? What is needed to us to have more money involved in,
Okay. Rich and John, could you come up and answer that question?
I mean, the project was designed and it was all submitted back in 2017 for the 25, and then we get this other one that's 3,500, and we don't know what it was, why that's added in, but we found out sooner or later that it was a loop system that was, from talking to a lot of people and other engineers I know, that is not needed. And we have not used it, and we don't need it, we don't think it's necessary from our standpoint. And then, you know, we're going to get more money for a project that was already set and ready to go, and we just want to know why this is happening.
Okay, Steve. All right, so John or Rich, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, I'm not sure where the information that the project was set and ready to go in 2017. It wasn't designed and permitted. It certainly wasn't permitted until the summer of 2018 when we put it out to bid. The original estimate was whatever it was I put in the report. It was, the total bonding number was $882,000 for 2,550 linear feet of pipe. If you back out the loop, you're way over $880,000 and under the current bid, okay? The estimate at the time was, I think, $160 a linear foot, and now that number came in nearly twice because the contractors estimated, as we discussed on September the 5th, that their production rate would not be the 100 feet a day that I estimated, that their production rate would be somewhere between 50 and 60 feet per day. That's why the numbers came in higher.
So Steve, just to reiterate,
The 882 was an estimate that was done as part of the map planning report. It was not something that came in as a bid. We did not receive those numbers. We estimated that number at that time with the 2,500 linear feet. When it went out to bid, it was at 3,500 linear feet. That 1,000 feet, while it's a differential, the bids came in at the numbers that they came in at. Even if you took away that 2,500 linear feet, the bids would be close to over $1 million, not the 880,000, not the $600,000 in construction costs, because that's the way the bids came in. So we estimated a number that we thought would be the cost to do it, and we, as John mentioned, it was 100 linear feet to complete the work, but they bid it at 50 linear feet, sorry, per day.
Does the length of time that it's going to take to do this at 50 linear feet a day, is that going to be driving that cost up? Because there's so much technology and machinery out there that I think that they can do a lot more than 50 feet a day. And 50 feet a day, for
Steve,
everybody that wants to know, the
that's
pipes
their-
are only 10 foot long, right?
That's their estimate. The pipe length is 13 feet.
13 feet.
Its typical pipe length is 13 feet. I can't tell you how I'm going to make, or anybody can make those guys produce more pipe per day. That's the bid. Okay? We don't, under New York state law, we are obligated to put it out to bid, and those guys bid their numbers. The answer that they gave me, all three of the low bidders gave me, the day of the bid was, we estimated between 50 and 60 feet of pipe production a day. If you take my estimate from the original map plan and report at 100 feet a day and divide it by 0.55, you will be right at that construction bid. So that's the number. I can't make them go faster, and I can't make them drop the number.
No, we don't want anybody to get hurt, and we want them to work in a safe manner, but I know that you were talking about one other contractor that can do 100 feet a day, and why can't he do it? And why, I think it was in another, I'm sorry, it was 80 feet a day.
No, we had the three low bidders were at 60, 55 to 60, and 60 respectively.
Okay. There's one other thing in here. I see that the county is going to be paying part of the cost. That's in this memo that we just got. What part is that the county is going to be paying?
Where's that, Steve? I'm sorry. Where-
You see,
They're just referencing.
No, they're just-
They're
The town
of Carmel
referencing
is
Town of
in
Carmel
Putnam
in
County.
Putnam County.
they're
in
just
New York.
referencing
County's
the
gonna pay
public hearing.
The town of Carmel in Putnam County, New York.
Yeah, it's,
pay
the
part of it.
public hearing is for the additional costs.
Yeah, you just, I was hoping that something, I
Well,
missed something in
kind
the
of
past
like-
week.
I think I'm misleading, but that's okay. Okay, that's one other thing. And then on this, these bids that you came up with estimated cost on surveying, and what's my understanding is that now, that $27,900 came down to $5,000 for that surveys that were done on that estimated cost
Right.
of that surveys. Okay. And the surveys that were done back in 2011, I don't know if anybody noticed or told you that the identical numbers that are on these plans are on the other plans that you submitted.
They're not identical, Steve. They're
No?
nowhere
I can
near
show you
identical.
every one of
I
them
have-
that are identical.
Excuse me?
I can show you every number that's identical to yours in the 2011.
Every number.
Every number, elevation, grid on that.
Steve, I explained this, I think that I explained it last time. The survey that was commissioned in 2010 did not include the lower piece of Rockledge Drive. It did not include, I've got it right here. I've got the RFP, and you're welcome to come to my
Okay.
shop tomorrow morning, and I'll give
There
you
is
the CAD
back,
file.
there's the back part of Rockledge coming off of elevation, I think it was 764 going down to 739, which is the lower part by Kenny Robinson's going down, and I have them right there. It's telling me that you have a sketch of those elevations going all the way around up to James Maxwell, and those numbers are identical.
The numbers may be identical in the parts of the survey that were conducted in 2011. You are welcome to come upstairs tomorrow morning or to my shop tomorrow morning, and I'll give you a printout of the AutoCAD file that was provided to me after the project was awarded. We were not advised that this thing even existed until October the 17th.
Okay,
of
have you
2017.
done any other research on this project prior to you being employed by the town as an exclusive contract? What I'm trying to get is that we're finding a lot of money that's being given back all of a sudden because I'm finding things out. And I
It's
want
not-
to
was
know
it- The
that,
survey wasn't
is
given
this-
back all of a sudden because you found something out. The survey was given back or not used because I estimated what it would take in our contract to survey the entire job. We did not need to survey the entire job. We used the survey that was here in-house that we were not provided until 2 weeks after the proposal was developed and signed by the supervisor. And the second piece of that that was missing out of that, not only was the road network incomplete, there was no existing water lines shown in that survey. So the survey was put out, the town money was expended in 2010 or 2011, and the very most rudimentary thing that says, show me where the existing mains are so that I can accurately bid this job was omitted from that survey. It didn't exist. So we would have had to go out and pick them up anyway.
okay, and I'm presuming that you walked the whole neighborhood and found out where the old meets the new and the new meets the old?
After we had the mark out done, yes, we did.
Right, and you marked them out in blue paint?
Yeah.
But there's no way that you could have took all of that off of the old drawings that were submitted? The as-bills that were done from the last time this was done, or no?
No, they don't reflect where the existing mains are that we're replacing.
Is your work going to reflect everything that's being put in as far as where it's located and how far off of a gate valve it would be? So are we going to get a as-built drawing of where the whole system is?
Absolutely.
So we can get updated grades for the whole county?
You're not going to get grades, you're going to get locations of all of the new valves and the locations of the new mains, yes, absolutely.
I just
And the
need to
service
know,
connections.
I just need to know that you're going to be providing your service as this county needs to be done. You know, apparently that, you know, I need to know why the cost of something is going so high and we're asking for more money, you know? And I find out a lot of it has to do with, from one year to the other year, and something was sitting on the back burner for a year, and we find out now that we have to go for more money. It's,
I don't know what was sitting on the back
well,
burner for a year.
from the 2,500 linear feet to the 3,500 was almost 1 year, sitting idle somewhere.
It wasn't sitting idle anywhere.
You have a printout right here. It says 117 and one is the 18, 2018.
I'm not certain what you're talking about. I didn't come here to joust with you, okay? The fact of the matter is that we put together an estimate in the spring of 2017. The town acted on it. Our contract was authorized in October of 2017. I said that it would take 4 months for me to deliver plans and specifications to the county. It took me 6.5. Okay, so I'm responsible for that extra 2.5 months, but I don't know where you're getting a year from it. And then now here we are with the bid, so.
All right, so when we go for this extra money and this project gets going, are you going to oversee this whole project as far as what's being installed, where, and how much are we being used?
Yes,
Okay. So we'll have an accurate count on what is being put in the ground, what is taken, put out of the ground, and what is being dumped away, and what is saved for recycling, whatever.
on a daily basis.
Okay. All right, I have no more further questions, but I think the sooner the better. I know we're looking at I don't know how many days it's going to be costing, but we're getting into winter, so. All right, and just one other last thing. I don't see it on any drawings that Mrs. Schuler's house, it's the last house that would be coming off of Woodland Road from the old 91 going towards Kirkwood. It's one more house on that little stretch where you guys wanted to bring the loop through. That has not been hooked up. And that lady's been complaining in our neighborhood about the water system and everything else for almost 30 years.
It's not that good one. I don't want to.
There's a house around where the loop is. Do you have the maps with you, Steve?
Yeah.
You just
Yeah,
show it.
but
We've got the whole loop going in there. If whatever the decision is gonna be on a loop, nobody's gonna get left out of water.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Okay, Steve. Yes, sir.
My name is Philip Horowitz. I'm at 23 Vista in the Mayapack Hills. I just want to thank the board for getting on this as quickly as possible. Since 1997, this has been going on and on and on and on and on, and the increased costs that have resulted not only in increased interest rates, but increased costs over the last 15 years or so have just been outrageous. And if there's any hesitation whatsoever on the part of the board moving forward, it's only going to get worse as we move forward, the costs going up and up and up and up. So I just want to encourage the board to get this signed off on today and get moving on it. I would ask, how quickly is this going to be shovel-ready? I mean, when are we going to start doing this?
You have to do a bond right, you gotta do a bond borrowing resolution, and then there's from date of resolution or date of
20 days.
publication?
20 days.
20 days
From publication or from?
Publication.
Publication.
It'll be next week.
So it's gotta get published, and then 20 days after that, the estoppel period will expire.
Correct.
And then if we do the resolution tonight, I'll tell the low bidder that to submit his bonds and insurance, and we'll set a contract signing and a pre-construction meeting for the morning after the estoppel period expires.
Which
So 20
is-
days.
20 days from the date of publication.
So before the winter?
The end of October.
And
End of
the-
End of October?
Yeah,
And
that's
the
about right.
estimated time to completion?
Springtime, depending on when.
Yeah, it depends on when the snowfall
winter.
hits, and it depends on, quite honestly, at this late stage of the season, I think we need a good coordination meeting with the highway superintendent, because there's gonna be equipment, materials, stockpiles, et cetera, and I don't think we wanna have that stuff on the road when he's trying to move snow around, so I need to arrange that with
So
him.
do you
We'll
think,
start this year, he will start this year.
we'll start this year, do you think perhaps when the flowers bloom, we'll have new pavement on the road?
You will have pavement over the new trench. When Mr. Simone is gonna repave the roads is not, I don't know that answer.
Can the board answer that question?
We will ask him to do it, I would say, once the project is complete, we can make a request to Mike.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, the
queued up.
roads-
It's queued up. He's been holding that neighborhood for this
I mean,
project.
the
So
roads in the
it's-
neighborhood-
It's queued up.
If you haven't driven up there, take a ride around, it's pretty bad.
'Cause he
So, and it's
mentioned-
going to get worse as we start digging,
When
so.
Water District 8 was finished, he came, I think, within that year.
That year he did, yeah.
Like,
He resurfaced.
right after, and he
Yeah,
came.
I
and
would hope that,
redid it,
I would
so-
hope that would occur.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say when the flowers, bloom, but, close proximity of it, and we have to ask him.
Thank you.
When the trenches are restored, when they're resurfaced with blacktop, that's only binder that's put in there. So the trench itself, the highway superintendent would like to see that trench settle, because it is going to settle.
I get it.
Before he goes in and resurfaces the road. So there is going to be a period of time where you might see that blacktop where it was been restored until it's paved. So, and the same thing's occurring on Wixon Pond Road and Bullet Hole Road, where the gas main was just installed. He's given that time for those trenches to settle also. So when they repave it, you have a smoother surface, and you don't get settling over the new blacktop. So there is somewhat of a science to
I'm just
it.
trying to nail down
Yeah,
some dates.
I know.
It's for the public record. Last question, is there going to be any digging up to the houses?
No, the services will go to the edge of the right-of-way, basically
The
to where
right-of-way.
the existing curb stands are now. If the curb stands and valves are shot, we'll replace them, but we're not digging from beyond the edge of the
Got it.
right-of-way to the building.
Okay, again, thanks, everybody. I would appreciate it. Anything we could do to get this done as expeditiously as possible is appreciated by the neighborhood.
Thank you, and we'll try
All
to
right.
keep you informed on everything as we continue to progress on the project.
You're welcome. Yes, sir. How are you?
Good evening.
Good to see you. Yeah.
My name is William Hines. I live at 63 Highland View Road. I'm part of Water District 9. I'm also a sitting member on the Mayapack Hills Association Board. I just have a few questions, if I could. First, I want to thank my fellow board member, Steve Laquadera. He's very learned, he's a very experienced engineer, and that's why he asked you those specific questions. Okay, so we look to him for a lot of that information. I just have a couple of just quick follow-up questions, if I could. I just heard about the road repaving, and I know that's huge in our neighborhood. Okay, it's been almost 19 years since it's been paved. So we're really concerned about that because of the work that we're going to have. We just want to make sure that, one, that the roads will be paved. There were a couple of issues about, will there be curves, French drains in that area? Do you have any idea of what you're going to do, or where, or if you had any idea where you were going to possibly put a possible French drain or a curb?
If there is curb that's damaged, if there's existing curb and it gets damaged, it'll get replaced. If there's not
Okay.
an existing curb, we're not building new.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
we don't
You're not-
have
you're not for the
curbs per se. I'll just finish. Let me just help him out a little bit. We don't have curbs per se. There are a few diversion curbs, but we do have an issue with ponding in some of the roads now. So that's the other thing too, as far as when they do pave, that it's paved correctly.
That's
the
highway. That's
pavement-
what
No, I get it. I know it's not,
But
it's,
it's two different things.
Yeah, he
So-
couldn't
so-
even
so-
answer it
so
for
no, I get you, but
he's
that's,
the water, and
that's
then
just
Mike
one thing I
Simone
wanted to
will
put on
cover-
public record. I get that. The other thing I just wanted to have on public record also is that part of that are catch basins. Are catch basins part of any of the water project? You're just going to do the supply lines, is that
It's
correct?
just the mains and the copper
Okay,
services.
but this has to be part of also the master plan for this neighborhood. If we're going to do it, we'd like to see it done correctly. And my last question to the board is that the last figures we had for the 882K, you had an estimated annual debt service for the taxpayer of $454.57. Do we have an estimate on the new estimate now?
Marion, do you have an estimate on what the new debt service payments may be? For water line?
Hi, Bill.
Aye.
Yes, if we were to bond out the project at the $1,450,000 for 15 years, it would be $760. If we were to bond it out for 20 years, it would be $622 a year for the 20 years or the 15 years. Also, I have an estimate for 30 years, that would be $491, but we probably would not go out 30 years on this.
Probably not?
No, we probably could do 15 or 20, or
15
somewhere
or
in the
20.
middle.
Okay, great. So just to reiterate, 750 for the 15, 622 for the 20,
760 for 15 years, and 622 for 20
622
years.
for the 20. All right, thank you. And in closing, thank you for your service.
Okay, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. All right, is there anyone else here that would like to speak for the open public hearing on the Water District Number 9 improvements? Okay. There being none-
I have a question. When is the decision to build the loop or not to build the loop? I know I heard no loop is being requested, and not to belabor it, but it might be a good idea to talk about it with the public here.
Design with a loop.
I'm sorry?
Designed and bid out as a loop.
Well, it's unit bid, so there's three scenarios where we don't need a loop, but the one thing that I'm wondering about now is, you're saying that there's one house in the middle of the loop that needs, so I'm trying to get an understanding of it, because if we say no loop, but then we have to go halfway there to get to that house.
Nope.
Then we need that loop.
How's it serviced, Dave?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
It's not that far. It's,
Okay, I'm trying to get an idea
off
of
the
that.
top of my head, it's about maybe, 45 feet, maybe 50 feet.
But that house is serviced now with a line off the main.
It's
Private
got
line.
the old galvanized line in it, right? And the cap is 40 feet away from it, where the new line dead-ended off, right there. And one other thing, the county owns the right-of-ways in our neighborhood, and if they would like, they could store their material or whatever they need to, and then we can get them cleaned out, maybe, after they're done, because they need to be cleaned out anyway. We have kids that run back and forth, up and down to the beaches, and they were maintained many years by us, and now that the county took them over, we would like to see them cleaned up a little better. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Steve. All right. John, the question with the loop, John, you satisfied with what,
Yeah, because
We're hearing-
the loop is how many feet?
600.
An extra 600, and you're saying that it's only close to 40, so that puts, it gives me an idea of where it is. So,
All right. So the cost for the project without the loop, minus the loop, what would the estimated debt service payments be, Mary Ann, if you took the loop out? Do you have that? Because it seems that this loop issue has been discussed now for weeks, and I don't think we've gotten a definitive answer on whether the project's going to be done with or without the loop. So I think we all need to have that answer. Are we going to go forward with it? I know the design included it, and it went out to bid, including the loop. But I'm hearing both sides, whether it's absolutely needed and critical to the distribution of that water system, or it may not be, and it could be backed out of the project for a savings to the residents, the taxpayers. So if you take out the cost of the loop, Mary Ann, what would the debt service payments be?
Well, I just wanted to mention also, Bill, when I was given the figures earlier, that was based on an assessed value of $320,000. So if your assessed value is higher, then those payments that I gave you would be higher. If your assessed value of your home is lower, then that would be, the payments would be lower. So I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Based on the frontage and
Okay, so those are, and if we were to take out the loop, the approximate cost of the project would be $1,285,000. And the estimated cost for 15 years at $320,000 assessed value would be $673 for 15 years. For 20 years, and a same assessed value of $320,000 would be $552 a year for 20 years. So for 15 years, it's a savings of about $90 a year.
For 15 years, Mary Ann? About 90 a year?
It's about $90 a year.
All right,
for 20?
And for 20 is about 70
about 70.
a year for 20
Okay,
years.
and, what's that, John?
Gentleman wants to come to the
Oh,
mic.
yeah.
Is it possible to ask, is there engineer here?
Yes.
2 and
Great.
You have
The
two
loop.
engineers and you have the water service
The
operator here.
loop, is the loop a Mercedes-Benz system, and we settle for a Hyundai? Will they both get us to where we have to go? Is one a luxury?
Right, I agree. Maybe we could hear what the benefits of the loop system would be, and then,
Right. I don't think it's a Mercedes-Benz. right?
Okay.
You've not had the loop since day one.
Okay.
You've been functioning all along without it, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, so it's never been in place, all right?
The loop is a redundancy?
No, it provides a redundant flow pattern to continue flow to the tank. When you come out of the supply, there's a single main that brings it up to Kirkwood, right? And then you get up onto Woodland, and the only way to get to the tank is down Woodland and then back up Vista Terrace, I think. So this thing provides a left-hand turn that gets us back up to Vista Terrace on an alternative route, so that if you have a break on the low end, that you can continue to feed the tank and continue to feed the balance of the system without having to shut it off. So it's sound planning. It's not vital. You could, because you haven't had it all along, and the system has run all along.
Steve?
You know what,
May I ask,
can,
can I ask B&J from an operator standpoint? Do you guys see, I mean, because you can get an engineer design it and stuff, but from an operator, do you prefer loop, not loop? Do you see any benefits? Like, can we get an
Is it
understanding?
necessary?
Because we're laymen.
That's the question.
Is it necessary?
Could you come to the mic? I'm sorry.
I guess like the pros and cons of loop versus no loop, in your professional judgment?
Joe?
sure. Hey,
Joey,
everybody.
let's get your opinion, because we know that you're the local plumber in the town that
Well, he's
takes
the
care and
operator.
monitors the water system.
He-
And I know you for many years,
If
so
he's the-
we're
he's
kind
the-
of a little torn between this, and we don't know which way to go.
Very, very simple question,
You know.
Joe. Can the water system function fine without the loop, or is the loop necessary?
Sure. Well, the water system has been functioning fine since the system was removed from the surface water supply, and we went to groundwater wells back in the late 90s. So for the last 25 years, under the current regs, we've met them straight through. Our testing data proves that out. So that information is given out to you folks in the CCR report every May, so along with the litany of anything that we do during the year. So yeah, it can. From a operational standpoint, it's beneficial. As John said, it allows us to maintain service flow. If there's a break on the right-hand side of the district, we're able to maintain the tank behind the Maxwell residence up on the top of Vista, and the homeowners don't lose water. When breaks occur now, we have to shut down the district at the Locust Hill pump station, which is a fair distance away. Pressure's down there, over 140 PSI. System loses pressure fairly quickly out of that storage tank as we mobilize and do the repairs. So that was, you know, a wish list item, but it's not a necessity. It's just from an operational standpoint.
I guess
The mic, sir?
my thought process is, and I've worked on these projects in various condominium complexes, if you're gonna go ahead and spend $600, $600 and some odd dollars per, and now you're gonna spend another 80, and you have a guaranteed water supply and a backup, do it once and do it right, or don't do it.
Yeah.
But if it isn't,
No,
Right,
no. Please, no back and forth with members of the...
it's also.
Sir, you have to direct it at us.
If in fact it's $80 on the.
On average.
On the average, maybe it's $100 on something that's a higher assessment.
Sir,
I concur.
us, please.
I concur it's a lot of money, but do it once, do it right, and you won't be sorry. What if we find we have breaks and we have to put that loop in later? How much is that gonna cost?
A lot more than the $80.
So the loop is not needed. It's not a critical element to the operation of the district, is what I think that's what we're talking about. Is it necessary?
I think they both said it. It's not necessary, but it is.
Well, the other thing I want to make this point too. The average water main break takes about how long to repair, Joe? Average water main break, 3 hours, 4 hours?
Between 4 and 6.
So really, the redundant backup of a line to feed the tank.
And that's on the old galvanized system.
It's not gonna, that water main repair will be done.
These shouldn't be breaking
And the system
your
shouldn't be
lifetime.
breaking. The new water line systems, the new water main should not be breaking. If it's a new system and it's installed properly, it shouldn't be breaking. So my point is, even though you have, let's say you do have a water main break, the system may be down for 3 or 4 hours where water's not being fed to the tank.
Or
I don't
6
think, I
hours.
don't think it's critical. No, not 6 hours.
You said 3 to 6.
Who did? Not,
4 to 6.
not in that district.
That's what Joey just said, 4 to 6 hours.
So you want to spend another
No,
$300,000?
I don't want to spend, we're just discussing.
All right. Listen, as long as I've been here, the average break, and I monitor every one of them, is between 3 and 4 hours. The major ones, like the one we had down in town behind Rodax Deli during the winter, that was an 8 or 10-hour project, because that was a major issue on that system. The Water District Number 9 system is not that integral. The mains aren't as large as the one down there. It's a smaller main, 3 or 4 hours tops to make the repair there. I could estimate. I could be wrong. You're the operators. You're the engineers. I'm looking to save the taxpayers who live in that district some money. If we don't need the loop, if it's not necessary, and that's what we heard tonight, then why is it included in the project? Let's back it out of the project. It's not needed, so why pay for it if it's not needed? It's just adding more money to the cost of the project and to the cost of the taxpayers by having it in there. Take it out. It's not needed.
But I'm listening to what this gentleman here is saying.
Susie,
is
you're
that-
listening to
No,
one,
but
you're
Kenny-
listening to one,
Oh, my
let me
word.
finish. You're listening to one
I'll
gentleman
wait.
who doesn't have a problem spending the taxpayers' money, their money. He doesn't have a problem. He may have the money. Sir, you may be in a position, you might be in a position to be able to afford another $100 a year for what, you might be, but there might be other residents up there struggling. I'm just stating a fact, all right?
You're paying more for O&M
I
You-
am,
you- If
Then
you
you
want
offer
to
your
pay,
town
if you want to
taxes.
pay for the 700 feet of the loop, that's fine. You might want to pay that. Other people may not want to. And that's why I'm making this point,
no.
yes.
I just want to say that it could be $800 a year for an assessed value of $320,000. Now, those of us who have an assessed value of twice that, you're talking probably around $1,600 a year. And on top of water we already pay for, and, taxes that we have to pay, and they're going up, they're just going up. So I just want residents to realize it's not just $100, it could be close to, $2,000 a year,
Yeah.
15 years.
No,
Well, 15
I
years, if
agree.
you shorten it.
I agree.
Couple nice houses up there.
So the point that we're trying to make, and give me 1 second, sir. All right, if it's not necessary, and that's been stated here, and I'm of the belief that it's not necessary, that it should not be part of the project, then I, as one of five, am asking you not to include that loop as part of the project in an effort to save the.
We're going to make the decision when we award the bid. Decision, not us. The five of us will make the decision when we award the bid.
Yeah, it's just.
We're just fact-finding.
It was a very simple question
Yeah,
I
we're
asked the
fact-finding.
water operator. Is it necessary? It's not necessary. That's all, it's a simple question. You're spending $1.25 million, $1.5 million, and you have a chance of knocking out 10%, more than 10%.
I'm going to
It's
correct the record that I don't care about my neighbors spending money.
No,
No, nobody
didn't-
said you don't care about them. You don't mind, as
Let's go
an
back.
individual homeowner, you don't mind paying the additional cost. That was my point, and that's what I said. All
Can
right?
anybody
There-
else want to speak?
What's that?
Anybody else want to speak?
Yeah, so there's a lot of other homeowners besides yourself that live in Vista Terrace that may not be able to afford that. That's my point I'm trying to make. All right.
I just have a quick question for John and/or Joey or Teddy. With this gentleman, I'm going back to what I wanted to say earlier, is that with this gentleman, do you see that down the years possibly that there may be a need that you have to put the loop in, or do you think the loop will always be, that you don't need it? I know it's
I don't
tough to do
think
the
anybody's going to go out
future.
on that limb.
Yeah, I know it's tough for the
That's a
future.
tough question to ask,
No, I
too.
know, because I'm looking for the future,
what do
because
you
I
want-
understand, but.
What do you want them to say?
I want them to.
They can't answer it. They can't answer it, Sue.
Oh, wait, Stephen, hold on. Please, just wait a minute. Guys, what I am trying to do, I am trying to get all the information I can before I vote on this. I'm listening to the water operators, I'm listening to the engineers, I am listening to the public. I am doing my due diligence. I would respectfully ask that when I go to try to ask a question, that I'm not degraded in asking a question. That's all. I
So
don't.
nobody's
no,
degrading
I-
you.
I
That's not
just-
degrading.
I just would like to get all of the information, and Mary Ann, thank you for all of the numbers. And Lisa, you're right in saying if you have a $500,000 home over there, it is going to be more than the 673 or the 620 or the 760, because that is based on the 320. And it was 760 for the 15 years or 673 for the 15 years, depending upon with the loop or without the loop. And that's on 320,000. So that is important for people to know. You know, if your house is $320,000, with the loop, it's for 15 years, $760. Without the loop, it's $673. If you have a $500,000 house, of course, that goes up a little bit. All right, I wish that we would hear from more people, more residents within Water 9, because we're going to be making a decision based on the decision of you know, a few people that's talked. You know, that's it, you know, then be it.
I'm glad you brought that up,
So-
Susie. Thank you very much for bringing that up. And I know that you are a family woman and, you care about families, and we also do in our neighborhood. We've had 9 to 10 new families move into the neighborhood. Right now, they're struggling. We know that. They didn't buy those prices the way we bought them when we were younger. And I don't know what they do for a living, but I'm going to say that they're not as good as the people that are living in the neighborhood are set to be right now. So I have to think about them, I have to think about the other people that are going to come in after me, and try to keep the cost down. Granted, the loop system has been not needed for so many years. Okay, once all the pipes are in, we will not have any more breaks. That's,
Knock on wood.
you know,
yes,
that's what we're
yes,
doing this
yes,
system
no,
for.
yep,
So that, you know, that's, in the fight of coming in here, is not to have the loop system because we never needed it. And when all new pipes are in, we're not gonna need it, you know?
Yep.
It's simple as that. And to add on another $80 besides the $500 more a year on a new family that came in with 3 kids and they're struggling.
Yeah,
you
it's a
know?
lot.
We
It's
don't
a
need
lot.
that. I mean, we're all here to try to get the cost down
Yeah.
for not
And-
only
and
for
get
the
you guys
public,
water.
our
The
neighborhood,
point is
and
get
the
you water.
public in general.
Yep, perfect, thank you.
So that's, you know, that's,
Listen, wait,
Good,
Steve,
thanks, Steve.
Steve, we have a fiduciary responsibility to save the taxpayers' money when we can.
Right.
And it's obvious that we can. If we don't, shame on us.
now, you know, between all the new pipes going in, there's some houses that are off the main line that need to get a reducer. Now I'm one of them, because my system, my heating system fails because there's too much pressure. So now I have to invest in that. So, you know, where do I turn? Do I argue about the loop system, which is not gonna change that problem? You know, that's and my uncle, my cousin, takes care of my whole system in my house. And that's the one thing he told me. It went out 3 times last year, and that's the main problem. There's too much volume coming through the system that shut down the boiler. So, you know, I'm gonna have to invest in that, but I'm okay with it. Other people aren't gonna be, you know, but you know, we're trying to eliminate cost. With the efficient of better, clean, and, you know, more reliable.
Well, you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that.
Right.
That's
No,
what we're
we
doing.
understand that.
Right.
So tonight, we're going to discuss increasing a bond to 1.45. I completely agree that we should be going through an entire vetting process, and from the way it looks, we'll have a 13% increase in cost to have redundancy in the system to get this loop back up. If we're talking about a computer system, a network system, 13% cost is very small. For redundancy, we want uptime 100% of the time. While I think every resident would like to have water 100% of the time, maybe that 13% increase isn't worth it, and you guys are willing to say, okay, we could go 6 hours without it for a break, which may not happen.
It's not 6 hours, my God.
We'll say
Why-
4 to
why-
6
why do we-
hours.
it's-
Can I finish?
Go
Okay,
ahead,
so-
John,
all
but
right.
you and Susie are stuck on
Kenny,
this 6 hours.
I'm okay waiting.
Come on.
Let everybody finish what they have to say, let's
You
just
said
vote.
6, you want it to be 6, and John wants it to be 6. So it's 6.
So Ken, can I finish? I appreciate it. Susie?
No,
So-
John, but I'm
So
just
I'm a
trying to
resident,
correct
and
something that
I'm a
you're
resident,
saying 6
and I'm
hours?
okay with 4 to 6 hours being out. More accurate, I'm okay with 4 to 6 hours being out. And maybe in that situation, it's not worth the 13% increase. Because I know if I was to say we're investing in infrastructure for our police department, our highway department, for integration during storms, things like that, okay, we're spending 13% more on redundancy. It's a huge bill you guys are going to be paying, no matter what, for 15 years minimum, maybe 20 years. The 13% additional cost may be more than what is palatable for the benefit that you're going to get, especially on a totally new piped system. The concern I'd have would be heavage, ground movement, things like that. And if it's something where, look, these pipes are going to be there for 40 years and we don't have to worry about it, there's no reason for the redundancy. I don't see a benefit to it. But if we are going to see heavage and we're going to see ground movement and we're going to see possibilities, maybe 10 years we'll see some breaks coming. Maybe the redundancy is it. So maybe I just need more information in regards to what we could expect out of this system if it's installed. Because 13% in one scenario is well worth it, but 13% in another scenario doesn't seem worth it to me. So maybe if there's something that can give me some more information, this new system gets put in the ground, what we could have for expectations when we may either see deterioration, or if it is nothing that we have to worry about with ground movement, with anything shifting, with any heavage, any type of freeze or thaw movement, if it's not something to be worried about, redundancy is not worth it to me. But if it's something to be concerned about just because we live in the Northeast and where the pipes are going to be located and the depth that they're going to be at, 13% additional cost could very well be palatable for me to have redundancy on a water system for people. So I'm hoping maybe you guys can give me a little bit more information before I start making a decision. I will let you know no matter what tonight. I say, let's go ahead with 1.45, but before we make a decision on what project we're going to actually pay out for, those are the things I'd like to have more information on. But tonight, I think no matter what, we're going to be moving forward, and we should start with that. And Greg, looks like you definitely want to say something.
Just a point of procedure. If the board authorizes the borrowing tonight and is inclined to do so, and the contract gets awarded. You award the contract. You will give a directive if a section or sections are not as designed or not to be built, as it's written in the contract and in the bid documents.
And
And
that's a
that'll be
separate
during the course of the contract,
That'll be a
after it's
separate-
awarded.
That'll be a separate resolution, not tonight.
Absolutely not tonight.
Correct, not tonight.
And it won't be at
It's a
the time of
separate-
award.
yes, Correct.
In order to award the contract, you're going to award the full contract, and you have the right to eliminate units.
So would it be possible, maybe for the operator and for our engineering consultant, to maybe just write a summary in regards to those questions I had for my own edification before I make a decision on the project to go forward? No matter what, I do believe we have to bond it out. And if we reduce the scope of it in the future, I'm perfectly fine doing that if it's not going to be worth that additional cost for the redundancy with that loop system. And I think that that's the most appropriate thing to do as fiduciaries for this water district.
We didn't close the public hearing yet. So, Mike, you want to speak as part of the public hearing, right? Yes. Public hearing, come on up. Come on up, Mike.
A lot of listening, so I just want to say one thing, because I'm hearing the word redundancy, and that's not what I heard from the gentleman over here. I think what they were saying, and that, I think it needs to be clear to everybody that's involved. I think they were saying that with the loop system, if there was a break, they could shut off part of the system, and part of the system would continue, which doesn't mean redundancy. Basically, what it means is that some people are still going to be without water for 4 to 6 hours. It's the other portion of the people that may not be. So and I don't know what that portion is that if it's a 50-50 split or whatever that is, but
Depends on where the break is.
somebody's still going to be inconvenienced potentially, even if there is a loop system. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I thought I heard. So that, it's not like it's going to stop something from happening and there's a redundant system that's going to jump into play if there's a break somewhere. That's not the scenario. So that's what they should be aware of.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
He's 100% right, and thank you for that comment. The one other thing, that if there needed to be water to go through the loop system that we're not going to put in, can't there be a hose put on above the ground from the blowout on one end to the blowout on the other end to connect the systems?
I guess there could. That depends on who's doing a repair and whether or not somebody does that.
Okay, is there anyone else here for the public hearing? That's still open. Once, twice? Okay. I need a motion to close the so moved. Seconded by Councilman Lupinacci to close. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, so the public hearing is closed, and let's move on to 1A on your agenda this evening. And for the benefit of the public, 1A is to consider a public interest order in the matter of the joint increase and improvement of the facilities for Carmel Water District 9 in the town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York. So, Councilman Schneider, would you read 1A, please?
Whereas by order dated June 28, 2017, the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York, authorized an increase in an improvement of the facilities of Water District Number 9, consisting of the reconstruction of water mains, including incidental improvements and expenses in connection therewith at a maximum estimated cost of $882,800. And whereas by order dated September 12, 2018, said Town Board called a public hearing on the question of the increase in the maximum estimated cost of said project from $882,800 to $1.45 million, an increase of $567,200. And whereas notice of said public hearing was duly published and posted in the manner and within the time provided by law, and such public hearing was duly held at the time and place specified in said notice, in which all persons interested in the subject matter thereof were duly heard, and whereas said town board has duly considered the evidence given at said public hearing, now therefore be it ordered by the town board of the town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York as follows. Section 1, upon the evidence given at the aforesaid public hearing, it is hereby found and determined that it's necessary and in the public interest to increase and improve the facilities of Water District Number 9 in the town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York, in a manner described in the preambles hereof, at a new maximum estimated cost of $1.45 million, and said increase and improvement is hereby authorized and approved. Section 2, the order shall take effect immediately. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci and Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Borelli?
On the borrowing of the money?
Just to borrow.
No, just
Just the borrowing.
Borrowing of the money on
Public
the
interest
district.
order, borrowing's next.
Yeah, well, no, borrowing is 1B. 1B is the borrowing, the next one.
Yes.
Borrowing.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried on 1A. So 1B on the agenda is to consider a resolution authorizing the issuance of an additional $567,200 in bonds of the town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York, to pay part of the cost of the increase and improvement of the facilities of Carmel Water District Number 9. Susie, would you read 1B, please?
Sure. A resolution authorizing the issuance of an additional $567,200 bonds of the Town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York, to pay part of the cost of the increase and improvement of the facilities of Water District Number 9 in said for said town. And it is at a contract price of $1,450,000, which is an increase of $567,200, and it has a maximum life of 40 years. I offer this resolution as paraphrased and pre-filed with the town clerk.
Second.
Okay,
Greg told me that.
he did?
Yep.
Well, it was okay to paraphrase it, Greg?
Yep.
Yeah?
Filed too.
Okay.
Check with council first.
It'd be nice if I knew that.
Yeah.
I'm only a supervisor, so I'm not told everything, but that's fine. Roll call vote?
Councilman Borelli?
I can't vote on this without making a statement. I have to make a statement first. That's right?
Yeah.
I'm going to reluctantly vote yes on this, but this entire process was absolutely disgracefully handled in my mind. And I think that was one of the reasons why I was voted this year. And you might not want to hear it again, but I think Mr. Lacadero is 100% correct. I think the original estimate by professional engineers was disgraceful and misleading and totally, totally wrong. You can't give an estimate that's off by 40%. I think the time that was wasted is obvious. I've been in this business for 35, 40 years. I've been here, I've done this. The time wasted cost the people of this district a lot of money. And the main reason why you are paying this much money for this water system, there's no doubt in my mind, I'm going to say it again, because for the last 5 years, we have not been able to bid out all our work. I reluctantly vote yes for it for the benefit of the people there, but I'm not going to rub a stamp of yes vote without telling you exactly how I feel. And there is no doubt in my mind that a third of this money is wasted, was wasted. Thank you.
Your opinion that a third is?
My opinion.
Okay.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Before I vote, I'd like to make a statement also. I concur with the sentiments of Councilman Borelli. What really bothers me is that in certain aspects of the Water 9 project, the engineer and the consulting engineer weren't working together. They weren't on the same page. They weren't even aware, the engineer wasn't even aware that changes were made to the bid specs for this project. The engineer was kept out of that particular part of the process, which that disturbs me, that the town engineer and the consulting engineer didn't meet, didn't go over the bid specs before they were submitted to the town clerk to be bid out. That's a problem, Rich, and I hope that that's been resolved, because that is disturbing to me. It makes me wonder what other projects are being worked on that you aren't working together as a team for the benefit of the community and for the residents of the town of Carmel. That needs to stop, and we've discussed this, but I just wanted to mention that that particular part of this whole process was a problem, was an issue, and personally, I took exception to that, and I made that very clear, that that's not to happen again. So with that said, I vote yes. Okay. So we finished with this portion, Counselor?
That's the end of the front part of the meeting. You have a work session behind it.
Okay. All right, so we're going to go on to the town board work session
Close it.
portion of the meeting.
Close it.
I need to close the I need to close. Motion to close.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If you don't, if you guys don't mind, I just want to say something, because since two other members voiced their opinion.
Well, you had an opportunity, Sue.
No, I know.
You voted yes, and you didn't
No, I
speak.
did. No.
So it wasn't until after
That's okay.
I spoke, you wanted to speak, but go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone in Town Hall for doing a job. And if there is any problems within Town Hall, it can be resolved with the supervisor. I prefer not it airing out on TV like this, but I want to thank everybody in Town Hall for doing a wonderful job. That's all.
Sue, and I know you're trying to be nice. I know you're
Open.
trying to be nice,
Open the work
and you're
session.
trying to be positive.
Make a motion to
But-
open the work session?
Seconded?
Second.
Have a great night.
You see how I was just silenced by the board? That's not right. You want to speak, you spoke. I wanted to say something. Right away, let's close it. Let's
Oh,
move
no,
on.
if you want to say something, go ahead.
I did. Well, I started saying something,
Oh,
and
I'm
then you
sorry.
said make a motion to...
No, I'm sorry.
I didn't say anything.
Go ahead, Ken.
No, I made my point.
That's
I
fine. I thought you
stated
did.
what I wanted to say. Susie then stated what she wanted to say, but what she stated was because of what I said. She
We all
wasn't
know.
going to say anything.
Everybody knows that.
Until I said something. And I have no problem being transparent, and the public should be aware of what's going on. I have no problem with that.
Mr.
Some
Supervisor?
people do.
I think the public is aware I think the public's aware of what's going on. I really believe, look at the people here, okay? It's a little different than a couple years ago. The people are paying attention, and in 12 months, there's another election. So the people are paying attention. We have a full house. We've had people here every meeting. I've sat out there with nobody, me and that excited press guy right over there. Okay? So let's continue.
And I'm just, so the public knows, I am not going to be silenced by anyone, all right? If I want to say something, and it might be directed at individuals, I'm going to say it. I have no problem saying it. If you want to say it behind closed doors so this small group hears it, that's fine. But I think the public needs to be aware of what's going on. Okay, now I'm finished, thank you.
Vote on that? Did you vote?
All right, so the town engineer, Rich Franzetti, had requested earlier,
You had a second, I don't know if
You
we
voted
voted to open the work session.
I
don't know.
There was a motion and a
I
second.
don't think we did.
Okay.
All right,
Not that it matters.
all in favor of opening the work session?
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry, thank you, John.
It was Greg.
That was Greg, thank you, Greg.
Go ahead, Ken.
Okay, so the engineer had asked me earlier today if I can move his two items up, and Mary Ann, I probably should have checked with you because you're number one on the agenda. Sorry, Mary Ann. But Rich did ask earlier, and I agreed to allow him to move it up. So Rich is here for number 9 and 10. So number 9, Board, on your agenda is to consider request to authorize payments for repairs and services for Carmel Sewer District number 8 and Carmel Water District number 10. Rich?
So as you mentioned, Supervisor, the memorandum is being presented to the town board to request payments for repair invoices at the following two locations: Carmel Sewer District 8, Drewville Pump Station. On August 16th, Infomark, the operators of Sewer 8, notified the engineering department that the pump at Drewville Road had a leak. Due to the flow at this pump station from the hospital and condos along Stoneley, the repair of this pump was treated as an emergency and was removed and sent out for repair. There is an invoice attached in the amount of $9,350 from Empire State Motors to repair the pump. In Carmel Water District 10, the Senior Avenue Pump Station, on October 31st of this year, B&J, the operators for Carmel Water District 10, notified this department that the 5-horsepower booster pump number 2 had burnt out and needed to be replaced. This pump is a critical part of the water distribution as it pumps water to both Carmel Water District 10 and 13. There is an invoice in the amount of $5,466.91 for BJ to perform this service. There are sufficient funds in the budgets to accommodate these costs, and the work has already been completed.
All right. Thank you, Rich. Board members have any questions, comments, concerns for agenda item number 9? Mike?
No.
John? Okay. Okay, Rich, number 10 is to consider request to authorize emergency purchase and installation of a generator for the Belden Road South Pump Station. This is in Carmel Water District number 2.
So the generator set which provides standby power for Belden Road South Pump Station failed. The station is currently being supported by the stationary standby power utilizing the town's portable unit. We received 2 attached evaluation quotes for repair of the unit. The reason for the unit failure is damage to the excitation power supply winding within the unit. The quotation for repair varies from $14,220 versus $6,895. The deviation is partly attributable to the method of repair. The higher quote contemplates complete removal of the entire unit and repair in the shop, and the lower quote contemplates removing only the stator assembly, which contains the windings, rebuilding in and reinstalling in the field. In an effort to provide alternatives, this department received attached quotes from the same vendors for the installation of a new unit. The replacement quotes are summarized below. The New York State bid pricing from Better Power and Generac for a Generac 20 kilowatt unit quoted by both Gentech and MagPro. Better Power from the state is $20,409.83 with a warranty of 2 years. Gentech, $22,695, 8 to 10 weeks of free rental, 10-year complete warranty, and MagPro had it at $28,895, no standby provided, and a warranty of 5 years complete. The Gentech proposal is better than the MagPro proposal because in both pricing, free standby power and warranty. Therefore, there's a whole bunch of detail on this, but in essence, we're recommending that we. What's that?
Go ahead, you don't have to get into the detail.
Are you sure? I could talk for hours on this.
Please, no.
I could, if you'd like me to. We respectfully request that we purchase the generator through Gentech, which provides an 8 to 10 week free rental, a 10-year warranty at a cost of $22,695. We wanted to treat it as an emergency so we can get our portable unit back so we can have it before the winter sets in. So that's where we're at. I'd like that to be a purchase of a new generator.
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
You good?
Well, other than a little hurt pride, I'm fine.
All right, okay.
In public, it's good.
You borrow a red, do you want a black or a red?
Mary Ann, you can come up now.
All right. Do we have a 13? I thought we go to 12 to 14.
No, we don't have 11.
We don't have 11.
You're right, 13 is Red Mills.
No,
No,
what's
13
14?
is
We're on the greens.
What do you mean?
That's what you get.
Oh, you're on 14, okay. Hi, Mary Ann.
Hello.
All right, so Mary Ann is here to consider request to authorize and purchase and installation IT upgrades for budget fiscal year 2019.
Actually, it's a budget year fiscal 2018. These are computer upgrades that we budgeted earlier this year in 2018. We're looking to replace 15 computer workstations. The budget for 2018 was $70,000. The cost of the workstations plus 2 spare printers will be $16,014. And in addition, we'll be paying Sullivan Data to do the installation, a total of $3,215. The cost of installation is $8,215, but they give us a credit of $5,000, so the cost to Sullivan Data will be $3,215. This will leave us a budget balance of $50,051. We still have to do upgrades to 2 of our servers, so I'll be coming back to the board probably in about 2 weeks to discuss that with the board. Ann Pascarella and I, along with Chief Gazzari and Neil, met with Glenn Sullivan about 2 weeks ago, and we go over the inventory of all the computers in Town Hall, Recreation, Highway, and, they're monitored and maintained and replaced probably around 5 to 6, maybe 7 years, each computer station. Okay, so these are just the daily upgrades, annual upgrades.
Great, thanks, Mary
Okay.
Ann. Any questions, comments for Mary Ann regarding this item? The IT upgrade. Susie, I know that you were involved in this. You participated in discussions with Mary Ann and Ann from the beginning?
Yes.
All right, you guys are doing a great job with the turnover of the machines.
Yep.
And we're at the crest of the wave,
Yes.
where we should be.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Thanks, Mary Ann.
Thank you.
You have just the one item?
Yep.
All right, is the chief here? Chief Kazari? All right, well, Police Chief Mike Kazari, his item number 2 is to consider request to authorize the adoption of a tow application. As the public is aware, within the past year or so, the town board adopted a resolution that included in the town code an application for tow licenses for the Town of Carmel police tow roster. So if a tow company within the Town of Carmel wants to be considered to pick up cars at accident scenes and impound vehicles that are contacted by the Carmel Police Department, they have to be on the official Town of Carmel Police tow roster, tow list. So with this application and the new code that the town adopted, it addresses issues that the chief was having with respect to some of the tow companies that were on the former roster, where you didn't have an application per se to fill out. You just have to go through a process with the police department. It was very informal. There weren't regulations within the original agreements that the chief had with the tow operators with respect to fees. So the tow companies were really permitted to charge whatever fee they wanted to permit to tow your car from an accident scene, an impound, store it at their facility. They charge you to move the vehicle if they had to move one car to get to your car, or vice versa. Cleaning up debris at accident scenes. There was no regulation. They weren't regulated with respect to how much they could charge you. This new law and this tow application regulates the tow companies of how much they can charge a vehicle owner whose car was involved in an accident, towed to their facility. They can only charge up to a certain amount of money for that, and I think I don't know if we have the fee schedule in here or not. The second one's the fee schedule?
Yeah.
All right, the second one's the fee schedule, and I believe, I could go over the fees when we go to that portion of it. That's the next item on the agenda tonight, is consider request to amend user fee schedule. So this is the application. Board members, have you had an opportunity to look over the application?
I have. Kenny, I just have a question. Is this a yearly application or is
It
it
is.
just one time?
It is.
I would suggest, because I don't see anywhere on here, unless I'm missing it, that says, like, for the year of. So if they come like in, let's say, September, does it go September to September, or is it like the calendar year? Because I don't see on here a date of when the application is put on.
Greg, can you?
It's within the chapter 140. It's a calendar year application.
Okay, so just add like a date on here.
Right.
You know what
The
I'm
chief is
saying?
going to have the obligation of monitoring the license applications and the issuance of the licenses
Greg,
for
it is
renewal.
it's an annual renewal. So I think, Susie, when they come in, let's say they come in midway between the year, they come in June and request to be on the tow roster, they fill this out. So the chief's going to have to monitor when this application was approved. So it expires a year from June of 18, let's say, if they filled it out. It would expire June of 19, so it doesn't run the calendar year.
Right.
It runs when,
So can he put date on here someplace?
Oh,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because it's not on here.
yeah, somewhere there should be a date
It-
when
there
this
has
was
to be a
submitted.
line
It is
for the
dated
date.
in the sworn to section.
In the
There is a-
sworn in the
yeah.
back, right? It'd
Oh, wait a
just be
minute.
easier on the front.
Yeah,
And
oh,
just-
On
here,
the
Yeah.
actual application.
Right.
On the front.
maybe we can add it.
And there's going to be an approval
Yeah.
for one or more of the tow companies, then that'll have the relevant date, not necessarily the submission of the application, but when the license is issued. So we can do it that way. It can be modified that way.
Okay, perfect.
All right, we'll do that.
Yep, just add the
Okay.
date, that's
Yep.
all.
All right. Jonathan, any questions on this?
No, that's good.
All right. Mike? John? Okay. All right, next item on the agenda, this is also Police Chief Kazari, consider request to amend the user fee schedule. And so these are the fees that will be the maximum amount of fees that can be charged if you're on the Town of Carmel tow roster, the police tow roster. If you're not, and you don't want to be part of that, and a vehicle owner chooses to use someone who's not on the roster for another tow, let's say, whatever that might be, they pull you out of a ditch, the police aren't involved, then they could charge you whatever they desire to charge you. This is only for those tow companies that are part of the roster, the tow roster. So for a straight tow, for passenger vehicles and commercial vehicles not exceeding 3 tons gross vehicle weight, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., they could charge $195 for the tow. After business hours and holidays, 5:01 PM to 7:59 AM, it's $195, so it's the same amount. That's not going up because it's after business hours. Service call is $100, so if they're called, you call the police department, the police arrives on the scene, it's a service call, you don't need to be towed. You may need a jump start or some other issue you're having with your car that you need a tow company to come out and assist you with. That's $100 for that call. Cleanup fee is $35 per half hour. So cleaning up debris that's left on the roadway from an accident, and if they have to put Speedy Dry down to absorb any fluids that may have leaked onto the road, that's $35 per half hour. And it's the same after business hours. It's also $35 per half hour. Second tow truck or winching involved. So if your vehicle's off the road into a wooded area, let's say, or in a ditch, and they have to winch it out, it's $100 per half hour. And if a second tow truck is needed at the scene, sometimes it's a complicated tow, and they need 2 trucks to get the vehicle out, that's another $100 per half hour for the second tow. But the first tow is just the $195 to actually tow the vehicle. After business hours, it's the same. It's $100 for second tow or winching involved. Storage can be costly. It's $65 per calendar day. So every day that your car is left at the tow facility, they could charge you $65 per day if they were called by the police and it was a police tow. So $65 per calendar day. That's outside the garage. If they store it inside the garage, it's $75 per day. And the first day is $65. So the first day of the tow, and then if the vehicle's put inside, on some occasions, they may want to put it inside to protect the interior of the car from weather conditions, but the vehicle owner should know it's $10 more to store it indoors. A drop fee, the service fee of $50 will be charged if the owner or agent arrives after the vehicle is completely hooked up and the tow licenses in such cases will be reinstated on the respective tow list. So if the owner or an agent of the vehicle arrives at the scene and the vehicle's been put up on the tow truck and the owner of the car is asking for you to put that car back down on the pavement so he can remove the vehicle by other means if he chooses to, if it's off the road, they're going to charge you $50 for that, if it's hooked up. It's a service they provided, but to drop it, they're going to charge, so it's going to cost you $50. It's less than the $195, but it'll cost you $50. All right, so everybody understands that what the new fees are?
Yeah.
And this was this new fee schedule and this tow application, this was done over many, many months of the chief, the lieutenant, and others involved in developing this. Town council was very much involved in this, and the town board was also. So this just wasn't adopted and arrived at this type of application within a couple of months. It was probably over a 12-month period. So a lot of work went into this, and I think it's important that we do have a fee schedule.
We also received a lot of feedback from the tow operators. We did have a public hearing. This is now the second time revised after discussion with the tow operators. So there's been a lot of conversation with the players in the game and a lot of good communication that came out to a productive, well thought out code revision, and the application looks good. Fee schedule is good, and the chief did great. And
they did, yeah.
My understanding is that the tow operators are all kind of behind this because they wanted to see the same stuff stop that the chief was seeing and our police department was seeing. So the ones who are running good businesses want to keep running good businesses and are fine with this.
And Jonathan, thanks for bringing that up, because there were, based on feedback from some of the tow companies, we made some changes.
Absolutely.
Based on, and they made positive recommendations, and we felt they were also, and we agreed with them and made the changes, so, thanks. Anything down here? All right, no, okay. Okay. All right, so, let's move on to the next item, number 4.
Can I ask you
Go
a
ahead.
favor?
Yeah.
Or a request?
John, your
Mike, John.
Sorry. My request is that Mike Simone is not here, Glenn DeRosa is not here, but Jimmy Gilchrist is here, number 8 on the agenda.
good
So
point, John. Yeah.
could he come up?
Yeah.
and talk number 8, and then, so he could leave?
Sure,
And we
yeah.
can cover the other ones.
Sorry, Jim.
Yeah, the other ones would be quick, and
I didn't see you there. Sorry.
there are a lot of people here.
But Jimmy, since I got you up and get you out early, can you?
I'll be real quick.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
You owe him, Jim. You owe-
Kenny did ask me to bring a representative from Inside Engineering here, just in case you guys had any questions on the bids that we received. So as you're all aware, we went out to bid for the Airport Park Phase 1. You should have all had an opportunity to review the bids that came in. I think if I remember correctly, we sent you guys the 2 lowest bids. The price of the lowest bid was, including rock, if we run into it, I think we had about $20,000 in there for rock contingency, which we don't anticipate out at the airport, but you never know, is 1.373861. That's to be the first phase, which would be the construction phase, leveling all of the soccer fields, building the parking lot, improving the road, and taking care of all the stormwater work. That being said, we have, if you look at the bottom of a sheet I gave you with financials, funding-wise, we have the $2.2 million bond that we're doing through the town, and we also have the state grant of $250,000 that was approved. So we have $2,450,000 for this project. Phase 1 is going to cost, say, 1.4 in round numbers. So we have a balance, and I broke down each item going forward with a contingency and also with engineering fees if they're needed. There might be some engineering fees that are needed, say the design of the building or coming up with some of the fine grading of the field. So I feel very comfortable with this budget that we have for this project. If we do get close at the end, I would seek, we have a very good record on getting state grants. So we could take some of those items, a pavilion, playground, building, which we've gotten grants for a building and a playgrounds before. I feel very comfortable. If we do get low on funds on the tail end of this project, that we could seek additional funds if necessary. So I feel very comfortable with the budget that we have now. The contractor was vetted through Inside Engineering. They haven't, if you look at the resume of jobs that they've done everything from bridge work all the way down to, I think, Mount St. Mary's College. They built baseball and softball fields at a small number. But you can see that they can go from a very large, multi-million-dollar job down to an $800,000 job. Again, this work that's being done is mass earthwork. It's not the fine-tuning. Our second phase will be, that's when we're going to call in I would call it a field specialist to get out there and spread the topsoil, get the irrigation system in, and finalize the fields. So our plan is to try to get the contractor out this year, this fall, work through the fall, winter, early spring. Phase 2 will come in the spring, finish up in the summer, and then we'll get into the amenities in the park as the grass is establishing. Okay.
Jimmy, that's what I was going to ask. In the bid, did it have like a start date that they had to do it by? Like, if we have a bad winter and they had to extend it?
Yeah, we have start dates. You know, it's based on when we start, but there are weather. Obviously, there would be weather issues.
Okay.
But I forget.
There's the ability to extend the time if needed, based on weather.
And with no cost.
And the swell of the county has to be done first.
They're actually
Pension ponds are built.
Yeah, that's all surveyed. I talked to the contractor that was awarded that job. They're aware of our timeline. So they will be completed before we get going on the tail end of the park.
Okay.
What's the contract time?
Thank you.
For phase 1?
I don't know off the top, I believe it's like 230 days.
Okay.
It's somewhere.
So we have time.
And the contractor was actually, he was very impressed with the engineering that was done on these plans, where it's a balanced job. There were questions at the pre-bid meeting if material has to come in or material has to go out. They were actually able to engineer this job where really nothing's going to leave or enter the site.
Yeah, the contractor, during our discussions with the contractor, just, about the bid process and everything, they recognized, they did their homework, they recognized that that the job was as close to balance as it could be to keep everything there.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note, Jim, that with the Phase 1 construction cost and the estimated Phase 2 construction cost is at we budgeted 2.2 million was allocated for the project, 2.2 million, but the total cost combined, the estimated cost and what we know the Phase 1 costs are, is 2.485 million. The state grant that you mentioned it's really important to note that without that $250,000 grant, we wouldn't meet the 2.45 budget. And the person that we got the grant from is State Senator Terrence Murphy. He's the one who is responsible for funding the $250,000 to the town of Carmel for this project. So I want to thank Senator Murphy for his efforts and his support of the town of Carmel in getting this done, because without that $250 from the senator, we'd have to go back out and borrow more money if it went over the $2.2 million.
Yep.
So it was important that that funding came through from the senator. So I want to publicly thank him for that. Okay?
Great. We should also recognize John for picking up on this earlier on with the financing, where we kept that grant as additional funding. Because we, again, on these kind of projects, you don't know. This first phase came in a little bit higher than was anticipated. So that was pretty smart that we were able to pick that up in the beginning, so.
Okay. Any further questions from the board on this particular item? John? Yeah, it is exciting, yes.
Thank you.
About
So
time.
we should see
Thanks, Jim.
pavilion, buildings, playground by the end of next year?
What you're gonna see grass. Okay. So you're gonna see grass coming, you're gonna see fencing is very, very important. We're gonna try to get that in before the turf gets down, so there isn't any damage by any ATVs out there. And then the building, we're gonna be working with the users during the winter to design the building. The county is giving us a certain amount of square feet. I think it's 4,000 square feet of impervious space that we can use there. So we have to best utilize that between a building and a pavilion. So we're still trying to, we've been sketching some designs together, but getting into possibly a 2-story building with bathroom storage, concessions, first floor, coaches' meeting rooms upstairs, maybe a basement for storage. So we'll be putting that all together through the winter. Playground, again, we'll get a committee together of all of the users that'll be using that park, having some meetings throughout the winter. That's fun, putting that stuff together. So the pavilion, the same thing. I would always recommend going with the prefab style pavilion. But those items might take longer than getting the grass in, growing, because we need that to be established for about a year or so with the irrigation and putting the turf in and the fencing.
And then, Jimmy, you may want to also mention that people do hike around there, that we are keeping some trails, and that after this is all done, we'll actually be adding some more trails as well.
During the pre-construction meetings that we had, Susie and John were up in Inside Engineering, and one of the items came up about the walkways around the county property between Lake McGregor and the airport park. So what we're going to do is we're going to be stockpiling, when they're clearing the woods up, we're going to stockpile a large pile of mulch and chips, and that will be spread through the walkways on the back end of the park. But what's really important, that this park, we're going to maintain it open during the construction. We set up construction fences and gates to the areas that are going to be disturbed. So as you come into the airport where the water tanks are, you hang a left. That lawn area that we created in the front, that's between the soccer fields and the golf course, that will be maintained open. The children will be able to play their soccer games and lacrosse games up there, and also people will be able to hike there throughout the day. Okay?
Okay, thanks, Jim. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for having us.
That's shot clock.
Okay, next
Just
item on the agenda.
Thanks, Jim.
The project, including phase two's got to go back out, procurement and bidding, okay?
That's a whole separate phase that they're going to start drawing up the bid
Includes the
specs.
utility building and
Yep.
the fine finish and everything like that.
Knock off these next three
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah, we will, yeah. Okay, number 4, Glenn Josie, Town Assessor, consider request to authorize attendance at the New York State Assessors Association, September 30th to October 3rd, Binghamton, New York. The final cost is $175 after reimbursement. This is something that we do annually, that the assessor attends these seminars for the New York State Assessors Association. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
And it's in his budget. Okay, next, number 5, Mike Simone, consider request to authorize donation of sick time. As been requested previously, attached you'll find letters from town employees who have generously donated benefit time to Highway Department employee 1046, who is continuing to recover from a serious injury. I'm requesting that fellow employees be allowed to donate sick time as follows, and I'm not going to read them all off, but it lists about 10 or 12 coworkers at the Highway Department of this particular employee, and they've donated some 40 hours, some 8, 16, 40, 24, 24, 40. So They're very generous with their time in trying to help a coworker out recover from their injury. And, hopefully that employee will have a speedy recovery and be back to work soon. But their coworkers, this person's coworkers are helping them out greatly so they can stay on payroll, while they're out recovering. All right, next item, number 6. Consider request to declare equipment old and obsolete and authorize disposal of. The highway superintendent has a list of equipment that he's requesting to be disposed of. It's a 1989 dresser loader, a 2004 Eager Beaver trailer, a 1991 Mack dump 10-wheeler, and a conveyor, Kimco sand conveyor. It's acquired 12/29/99. The dump truck was acquired in '88. The Eager Beaver trailer in '04, and the dresser loader in '89. This equipment has exceeded its useful life, and the highway superintendent is requesting permission to dispose of these vehicles because they're no longer functioning, and they're not going to put a ton of money in a vehicle that is going to last for a short period of time. All right, number 7, highway superintendent, consider request to authorize and advertise for bids for miscellaneous highway supplies and materials. From Mike Simone, once again, these are highway request annual for bids. This is something we do annually. He's requesting the following items be advertised for bid. Sand, yes, we do have to talk about sand and winter mix. We're in September, so winter's right around the corner. Guide rail and beet juice de-icing. It's a new method of de-icing the roads, is utilizing beet juice. Evidently, it's been tested and it's a proven product in other states, and
Environmental friendly.
and it's more environmental friendlier than using the other product that he was using. So that's it. We did 8, 9, and 10. So at this time, I'm going to open up the floor to public comment on agenda items that we covered just now. So any of the agenda items that we covered, 1 through 10, if you want to come up and comment on that, come on up at this time. Yes, ma'am?
Should I come up?
Sure, come up to the podium. I just need your name.
Oh, yeah, hi. My name is Mrs. Staley.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry. Anyway, I came for another reason, but since you're mentioning the beet juice, I've been very curious of what the mixture actually is made of. Do we know what that is?
Beet juice.
It's actually
It's
beet.
regular beet juice, yeah.
Okay.
It's beet juice.
But there was a rumor going around,
Well, that it's going to be red when you put it down?
no, that
when you
there was
apply it.
fracking waste.
There was
Oh,
the same
no.
rumor with the brine treatment as well 6 years ago. But no,
Okay.
it is beet juice, and
Just
the
wonderful.
purpose for it
It
is,
must be very sweet.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
The
My
ice-
understanding is that it's
Not a
for
friend of the ice.
pre-treating the roads to decrease what the melting temperature is, and to help enhance what our salt and brine treatment's gonna do. Obviously more environmentally friendly.
no,
but it
it's
is-
been great.
It is beet juice,
Great.
and just that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else on agenda items? Okay, there being none, we're going to go on to the open forum, new business portion of the meeting, where I think that there's quite a few residents that are here for that. So I'm just going to, why don't you come up first? That's great. I need your name.
Hi, I'm Sally Colleen Comparetto. I'm here on behalf of my mother, who would like to voice her concerns about the application that went before the board for the 2 cell phone towers that will be placed in residential neighborhoods in the town of Mayapack. My mom lives at 43 Dixon Road.
Dixon Road.
No,
Dixon Road.
which board?
The
Planning board.
Planning board.
Planning board, I'm
okay.
sorry, Susie.
Okay, no, that's okay.
So, as you know, there's one over, a suggestion to be put one over on Croton Falls Road and one on Dixon Road. My mother lives at 43 Dixon for almost 50 years. 36 Dixon is directly across from her home. And it is my understanding that our federal government does not think that cell phone towers are dangerous. However, it wasn't too long ago that they thought smoking wasn't dangerous, and we all know how that worked out. So, there's numerous thousands of studies showing that living in close proximity to a cell phone tower does change your body and have biological effects. It's been linked to brain tumors, cancer, suppressed immune function, miscarriage, Alzheimer's disease, and even depression. So the residents of Dixon, when they purchased their homes, did not choose to live by a cell phone tower. If our board does go ahead and approve this, and I do understand that the application has been denied because it wasn't full, but with almost $7,000 a month on the line, I'm sure they're going to reapply. But they didn't choose to live next door to the tower, and they will be forced to live next door to these towers without knowing the full extent of the damage that will be done to their bodies. Furthermore, as a realtor, I worry about the property value of my mother's home and the other residents on Dixon. You know, she's lived there for 48 years, and this is her retirement, and I know that her property value will decline immensely. Also, I was lucky enough to list my neighbor's home about a year ago, and I sold it to the young couple in the back over there. And I can be brought to tears because they were so excited to buy this home. They're first-time homeowners. They've never lived in a town before. They both only lived in cities their whole life. They talked to me about the privacy, the views of the sunsets. Now they're going to have a 150-foot tower next to their home disguised as a tree. It's really it's very upsetting to everyone. But I'm here tonight to ask you, our town board, how you're going to help us to protect the integrity of our neighborhoods, our property values, and our families. What is the story with these cell phone towers?
Sally, can I respond to that? Because I want to make a statement which might save some other questions, but this is a letter from our town planner to us, the board. Wireless telecommunication facilities such as the proposed towers are regulated by the FCC. It is extremely difficult to deny these applications. In fact, the FCC has imposed a shot clock to ensure municipalities grant the approvals in a timely fashion. The shot clock is 150 days. If it's not approved in 150 days, it's automatically granted. Let me explain that. The people you're looking at right here have zero control over where they put these towers. 99% control, no control. The Putnam County Legislature, no control. The state government, no control. It's a federally mandated FCC regulation to provide coverage. This is the application for just one of the towers. And I've read it a dozen times. Nobody in this room and nobody on this board, especially me, are happy that this is happening. The bottom line is this: these cell towers are coming. No one's going to stop them.
Even in residential neighborhoods, we have no
No one's going to stop them. They have the right to put them where they want. Our ordinance is to make them look somewhat presentable.
Like on 684.
Our ordinance is lipstick, is to make it,
Lipstick on the
to make it
pig.
aesthetically pleasing to look at, which you can't do with a tower like this. I will tell you, and everybody here and everybody in town, that Homeland, the company that does these towers, has reached out to the town to discuss their locations and to discuss the future. And the supervisor has set up meetings with them, and we're going to start next week. But we are limited in what we can do, but we do want to tell you that a dialogue has been opened by Homeland to the town, and the supervisor set a meeting up for next week.
Okay.
But as of right now, we're all in the same boat. The governor couldn't help you or me or John or Greg or anybody.
So what will the discussions entail then? If you're meeting with them, what will be discussed? If there's
We
no-
don't know. We're
We don't
gonna
know yet.
explain to them your concerns and our concerns and see what they say.
Well, also, maybe find a different location.
That's what we've been.
Different location, different, to keep them out of.
Keep them out of the residential
The
areas. We
residential
understand
areas.
progress,
Yeah.
we understand cell phone use. I have my own cell phone. But what we don't
We're
understand is why
exploring a
they're
dialogue.
targeting the residential neighborhoods in Mayapack.
We're going to explore the dialogue of helping you, and that's really all I could say.
Yeah,
That's
I
all
don't-
we can say right now. But the five of us, collectively, as a unit, are probably for the first time since I've been here, so unified in this that the dialogue is opening this week. Because nobody that you're looking at wants to see these going where they propose them.
Yeah.
The residential
But
neighborhoods.
that's really
So
all we can
Sally-
say now.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry.
yeah, so to add to that, when the cell tower started appearing a few years ago, we all got together and we put a law into effect. Without that law now, they could just do anything. They wouldn't even have to make it look nice, okay? And one of the attorneys said that, you know, that the town is preempted from certain considerations, such as health effects, which is ridiculous. And what I'd like to do, and hopefully everybody will join, I would like to petition, not that it's going to do anything because they're not going to listen to us, the federal government, is write a petition to the federal government saying that really they should revisit, you know, that you have to look at health effects as well. But what Joe Charbonneau wrote to us, I think it was today, that the town is preempted from certain considerations such as health effects, but is not preempted from applying its local zoning laws. Those zoning laws we put in effect, what, 2 years ago? Less than 2 years ago. Okay, so we were doing this thinking that they're going to come, and says, while no municipality is immune from these towers, carefully planned zoning laws help to regulate the proliferation of towers in the community. The town has worked hard to craft its existing legislation in this regard, and the planning board will now have the opportunity to use this legislation with our things. So, you know, there's certain, I wish I had the law with me.
That's why I'm surprised that it would be placed on a road like Dixon, because it's really,
It's all
the majority of the homes are raised ranch, one-level raised ranch, and you're gonna put a 157-foot tower that looks like a tree. Aesthetically, it makes no sense.
Yeah, yeah.
These are, you know, these people have.
Aesthetically, a tower of this size is going to look horrible anywhere in the town.
Well, not smack in the center of a residential.
Our job.
It's absolutely insane.
We're going to try to convince them to put it where it doesn't affect so many people. But the bottom line is, it's going to affect somebody somewhere. And we're screwed. Our hands are tied. We can't do anything about it. We could only try to get them to put it in a wooded area or an area that is away from houses.
Commercial area, you know, there's plenty of.
They pick these sites out for coverage. So within these sites, the tower hopefully can be moved, who knows? But it would have to be in that area because that's the coverage that the FCC mandates they cover.
So that side of town, they're saying.
Something over there, but there's hopefully other properties that
Yeah,
county.
we have,
You know.
And there will be more besides these two coming.
the Homeland Towers identified in a communication letter that I received from them, they identified 3 sites that they would be interested in installing a cell facility, a tower. And the 3 sites they identified were town-owned facilities, town-owned property, not residential property, property currently owned by the town of Carmel. So we're going to be discussing that next Wednesday, when Homeland Towers comes in and meets with myself, and I believe Councilman Borelli's going to be there also. But the town also owns 26 other parcels of property throughout the town that we own that might be locations that could potentially be considered for a tower a distance away from residential homes. So it's not in someone's backyard.
Okay.
But the town property is adjacent to other properties.
Right.
So what I'm saying is they're not going to disappear. We're going to, the 5 of us are going to try our hardest to put them as far away from a home as we possibly can do.
And shielded from the
And
homes.
shielded from-
They're gonna be
shielded,
seen.
So you're not looking right at
Right.
it.
Like
You
these
know,
young
like
kids will be
Mrs.
looking out their
Colleen.
window at a tower.
And welcome to Carmel.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Less than a year ago,
No,
they bought their
it
home.
really is a nice
Like
place to
mortified.
live.
It is nice,
We'll
yeah.
get through this, you'll see.
Yeah, Susie grew up over in that neighborhood.
Yeah,
I know, I delivered your papers.
I
as a
know.
child. All right,
Yeah, so
Thank
we're
you. So
gonna,
we're gonna-
yeah, we're gonna
we're gonna
look
work
at
on it.
other places, so it's not like you're not looking at it, yeah.
There's one angle that I was just actually talking about. You know, you make it difficult for your neighbor to put it up. And that difficultness is unfortunately, you have to band together or you have to hire a lawyer, and soon. You're lowering the property value. Sure, they're gonna make $5,000 a month rental fee, but you know what? Make them pay. And you gotta band together, and you have to make it difficult for that neighbor to say, I'm gonna do this venture. And if you make it difficult and with legal, and then you start tying into possibly some royalty on their fee because they're lowering your property value, it deters a neighbor to do it. So I hate to be about, hiring a lawyer and stuff like that and go sue, but sometimes you gotta protect your interest.
And the other thing about putting it on town-owned property is the taxpayers,
Yes.
the taxpayers
They'll
will
benefit.
profit from it.
Will benefit from it, right.
So if we have to look at it, at least we know we're getting something for it.
Put it in a better place and benefit from the revenue.
My name's Eric Fieldale. I live on Dixon Road. The town can cancel the permit on the cell towers with discrimination, reasonable discrimination, it's called. You cannot cancel it because of health problems or health issues. You can cancel it on safety issues. You can cancel it on property values being lowered in the area. There's also the town of Islip in New York. They already have sued the towers, and wherever they wanted to put them up, they couldn't. They shot them down. This is already on the books, if you'd like a copy of it.
Sure. Yep.
So it's already in New York State that they want to fight for it, and they want on the location of the towers. So it's not like you can't fight for it, and there's nothing we can do. We can do a lot if we stand together and say, listen, we don't want it in this area, but it's acceptable in another area, especially in residential areas.
Right.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for coming up and speaking. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Yes, ma'am?
I'm sorry to make a repeat appearance so soon,
Oh,
but
that's okay.
Okay.
I did come to discuss the cell phone tower that's proposed off Croton Falls Road. And really, everybody has said everything, but I see that property needs a variance. Don't we have control there?
We have no control on it with any board.
We
So,
don't have control.
If it's not zoned for a cell phone tower?
The town zoning board has that control. This board can't go to the town zoning board and say, do this, do that. But the town zoning board, the ZBA, will have control over that application, and there's
Can't restrict them.
there's certain requirements that would have to be met.
So it will go to the zoning board?
If it needs a variance, it
If
definitely
it needs a variance?
Should, yes.
So
It's
could it get
posted there, so they're going
approved
for it.
before it went to the
Yeah, the
zoning
sign's
board?
posted.
Not site plan?
From the planning board?
No,
Yeah.
the planning board would have to send them to the zoning board to get the
No,
variance, to get the
time
approval
clock
of the
starts when
planning
the
board.
application is accepted,
Complete.
complete.
And that hasn't occurred?
Hasn't occurred, wasn't on the agenda tonight. If it's on the agenda in November, it's about $150, 150-day clock after it's accepted.
So how do we stay on top of this? How do I stay on top of this?
Planning board agenda.
With all the meetings and...
Our online
You will-
calendar.
First of all, you're going to get notices when there's a public hearing. I'm quite sure there's going to be quite a few people here. But what I said earlier is really how it is, and it's up to us to try to convince them and show them better spots, not to affect the people that are going to be affected.
Did we?
But sooner or later, someone's going to be affected, and we are going to see them.
Right, so we're all on the same page. Nobody wants it in residential areas. We want to keep it in business areas or town-owned land where we can get the money to reduce our taxes or whatever.
But town-owned land may border a
Right,
residential
might
area,
border
so
it,
you gotta figure out where you put it, and you get it, you mitigate the exposure as much as possible, and maybe you put it in a certain location furthest away from residential.
The goal is to get it the furthest we can from a home.
Away from homes.
And hidden.
Was there just a cell phone tower that was denied on Route 6 recently that I read about in the paper? No.
Only repeaters are going up on
Actually, I'm
Route 6.
very-
I don't remember the details.
I'm actually very familiar with that. It was an antenna, it wasn't a tower. It was a different type of, it wasn't a cell tower for cell phones for big areas. It was a carrying box along a major road.
Oh, okay, I just vaguely remembered it, I just,
it
all
was-
right, so
it
how
was-
do I keep on top of this again?
Well,
What do I do?
on-
What's the
on-
next,
on-
I don't want it to run away from
On
me.
the town's website, on our
Stay on the
calendar. Look
website.
at the calendar for the meetings, and they'll be posted on there. If there's going to be a meeting where it's going to be discussed, zoning board, planning board, town board, all our meetings are listed. on our website, or call, you could call the planning department also and speak to Rose.
Okay, yeah, she's hard to get.
There's either
I
Rose
keep
or
trying.
Dawn.
I believe, Kenny, correct me if I'm wrong, or Greg, for a public hearing, I think it's 500 feet, but I think for a cell tower, it's 1,000 feet. They have to notify.
1,000 feet on the application, they have 1,000.
Correct.
They have
That's
to
the public
notify,
hearing
right?
at planning, okay? And
Nothing,
it's zoning,
nothing will
it's
happen
500.
without a certified letter coming to any
and
neighbor
500 for zoning.
even close to you, close to the tower, without you getting a certified letter. But believe me, this is going to be in the papers, this is going to be followed, and everyone's going to, this is not slipping through.
Okay. Do we consult with other towns, like, to see how they handle these kind of things?
have.
Do we
We have,
consult
yes.
with them?
Yes. Our code was based on a lot of other towns' pre-existing codes where we kind of picked out the beautiful parts and
best-
left out
the
a lot of the
best
excess.
And kudos to the board for getting ahead of this 2 years ago, too.
Yeah. You're
It's
welcome.
really an unfortunate situation.
1,000, I'm sorry, Jonathan.
It really is unfortunate because there is so little that we could do as a town. I have experience very specifically with Homeland Towers for over a decade in regards to a cell tower that we had worked on down in Westchester. And I was just as affected as your mom is. I lived in a condo association right across the road from where the cell tower was being put up. Now, that was put up on a fire department ground, so it went to offset the taxes that fire department had charged. But I was the closest resident, exact same concerns were addressed, and in the end, same exact answers was federal government doesn't care, FCC says that there's nothing that can be done, and we tried as best as we could to mitigate the proximity to residents. We tried to keep it within the confines, but they truly do have engineers that have already figured out exactly where they want to put their towers within a certain radius because of the coverage. They look at elevations, they look at the surrounding areas, but they know very well where they want to go. Homeland Towers a year ago told us 3 sites they want of ours, so there are possibilities that we may be able to work with them, but unfortunately, in the end, we can fight as long as we want to, but this isn't even a town fight, a county fight, a state fight. This is the federal government, and we can continue to say no, no, no. But as has been pointed out, if they put an application in that's completed, within 5 months, it's approved, one way or the other.
So it's the federal government backing the money-making corporations?
Because the auspice of it
Surprise.
is, they want to increase communications, and specifically, they say that it's for emergency response when there's outages.
Right, I've read that,
It's very specific. That's why they say that there is regulation for them to have over anyone else. So unfortunately, we really do have our hands tied, but we will do our best, as has been stated a few times. But we're looking to meet with the cell towers that are looking to be put up, and hopefully we can negotiate with the companies. I know that they're very open. The reason why they go to towns will approve them quicker if we're going to be the ones getting the income. So if we can work with them and we can have some kind of cooperative discussions where it'll benefit residents and it'll benefit the taxpayers, then it's unfortunately the best win we're going to get, where we're still going to have towers that are
Well,
going to be
should
put up.
us residents be doing anything to back you guys up? Is there anything?
Just keep paying attention.
And look for
Paying
signs, because
attention.
not only are notices supposed to be mailed out within 1,000 feet, do we put the notice on our website, but there is supposed to be a sign posted on any property that's put in front of the planning board with the date.
There is.
Zoning board with a date, so if you see a sign go up, take a look. You may live 1,003 feet away, they don't need to send you notifications. So if there's a sign up, just take a look at that date. Power in numbers, everybody should come out. Get your neighbors to come out.
Yeah.
Go to the zoning board, go to the planning board. Unfortunately, we're very, very limited with what we can do. We cannot influence their decisions. We appoint them, they make their decisions, but you're able to go there and have some influence and have some say.
Are the Homeland meetings open, or are those closed meetings?
No, the meetings
Closed?
That we'll have will be closed.
They'll be closed, those meetings with Homeland.
Okay.
Yeah, I
But
just
we may
want-
get to a point where we could have them at a work session. They came out to a
Right.
lot of work sessions when I was in South Salem. They did come out, they talked, they had their engineers, they had their representatives, because they want to do anything they can to make people happy so they can get approval. They make money off it, and whoever owns that land makes money off it. But they will cooperate. The biggest thing
Wait,
comes
wait,
down to.
Jonathan,
oh, yeah, I'm
they
sorry, the
didn't, they
question.
didn't hear.
Yeah,
You
the
have to
question.
repeat the question. The question, just so you know, if you talk from the audience here, the people at home can't hear it. That's why we always ask to come up here. So the question was?
Question was, how do the companies that are looking to put up these towers locate the land? And it's in regards to First thing that I understand that they do is they look to see where the largest drop zones are, and then their engineers look inside those drop zones to find out where the best tower location could be so that they get the most coverage for the areas that have limited, if not unavailable coverage. But it's all based on that general geographic vicinity. But it could be within a couple miles. We had a situation where a couple years ago, I think, there was a proposal on the county golf course. And we were up in arms because it was literally right on the back end of someone's residence, their cul-de-sac. And we were saying, can you move it here? Can you move it here? Can you move it here? There's nothing that's been done on it yet, but I had found out that that same tower had located a property maybe 3 miles straight as a crow flies down the road. That was a private residence that wasn't able to get things approved. So they went over to the municipality hoping maybe we can get things approved this way. They didn't get that approved either. But they will continue to try and try and try until they do get it installed, one way or the other. So we can work very diligently to try to mitigate any damages, especially in residential areas. But again, we know they're coming in. We'd love to put them on the tax roll so we could reduce what some of the burden is to our constituents. One way or the other, someone's getting paid for it.
Yeah, just one other note that for planning board purposes, they have to notify residents within 1,000 feet. For zoning board purposes, it's 500 feet. So it's 1,000 feet for planning, 500 for zoning. Well, it's 1,000 for one, so it's 500 more for planning and 500 less for zoning, if you will. All right, is there any?
When do those notices go out?
When did the notices go out?
When the application is
When the
accepted.
application is submitted and accepted, then the applicant is required to post the notices.
So if they already have the application in, but it was denied, from my understanding, so they don't have to send out letters yet?
No, they have to come back with a completed application, and the odds are it's not going to be perfect the second time, because I know there's a lot more comments that were brought up. So if it's accepted, say, sometime in November, they'll probably have a public hearing sometime in, I think, 60 days?
Notices are key to the public hearing. Notices are key to the public hearing. All zoning proceedings are public hearing. Planning proceedings are not. There's a
Yes,
designated
but
public
with
hearing.
the FCC, from my understanding, is once they have the application in, they have 30 days to have anybody to come up to oppose it. Otherwise, it's a go.
The co-location shot clock is 90 days. The new tower shot clock is 150. Okay, it's all within that window. And I'm going to caution you not to speak any more about any specific application. It's not a good idea. Okay, understanding what the audience wants to say, but from this board's perspective, it's not good to elaborate on the applications.
How are you? My name is Bryce Fierro. I live on Croton Falls Road, and I'm within 1,000 feet of this proposed tower. And first of all, I want to thank you all for your service. And I've lived in this town my whole life. And I'd like to bring up 2 issues. You know, Chapter 156, Article 8, Section 152-62 of our town zoning code clearly states the purpose of these regulations is to allow the town to protect the predominantly suburban and rural residential character of the town and property values of the community. Personally, I'll agree with you, the cell phone service is bad in the area. I have an air rave in my home, which boosts my own service. And I don't see how benefiting people that are driving up Croton Falls Road and down Croton Falls Road is the best interest of our community. And, you know, I know the property is where they're proposing this tower. It's a variance issued to go on that property. It's New York State DEP right away. You know, and I'm all for, you know, things that are good for the town, but if my property value is going to be affected and my wife and my family and, you know, the houses around me, I don't see how that's, you know, fair to us. I'm all for putting it up in an area that's public for the town. But, you know, like I said, I have an air rave in my house, which boosts my own service. And, you know, we know there's a lot of traffic that goes up and down Croton Falls Road. And, you know, I don't see why, you know, benefiting people that are coming in and out of the town in that one simple stretch. I mean, there's a tower right on Lake Cassie. And, you know, the amount of people that this is going to do benefit for, I think it's going to have a lot more negative effects. And, you know, and I don't like the idea of having a closed meeting and we have a window of 90 days, you say, in order, and I'll be honest, I haven't even been notified. I had to come up to the town, and I had to find out when I saw a sign on the side of the road, and I'm within 1,000 feet, and I haven't been notified. I had to go and jump through hurdles to try to find out what's going on here, and like I said, I've grown up in this town my whole life, and I served honorably in the Marine Corps, and I don't like the direction that this is going. I feel like things are getting missed here, and I feel like the people are in the dark, and I feel like I'm not prepared tonight as well as I'd like to. I do have 10 things here, and I know it's the end of the night, and I respect all your service, but this is something I definitely can't support.
Mhm. Yeah, that particular application that you're talking about, that has drawn a lot of attention from a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. I know the one you're talking about. We're all familiar with the one that you're referring to, but we've been cautioned by counsel not to speak too much about it
I
much
understand.
further tonight. But we understand where you're coming from. We're in agreement with you. They're very intrusive. They're, and it will affect the values in your particular neighborhood. Aside from other issues that people have mentioned regarding health and safety and welfare and things like that. So we're very much aware of it. We're watching this very closely. And part of the purpose of the meeting next week with Homeland Towers is to discuss with them further alternative locations for these.
I appreciate that. And one other thing I can mention is, I did some research into the Homeland Towers, their council, which is Snyder and Snyder. And
Relation.
No.
I just looked at you, it's like.
I'll
No,
be
it's
on.
like Schmidt and the purchasing that we had one year.
Well,
No relation whatsoever.
No, the meters.
Yeah, that's right,
Back
the
to
meters.
Snyder and Snyder, I know that they have had meetings in other towers that were put up in other areas, and they've come right out and they've went on Google and they've showed people's property values, and they said, oh, look at this house, it sold for $340. The tower went up and it sold for $420. And I don't want to call anyone a liar, but I'll be honest with you, some of the figures that they're coming up with, they're not accurate. And, if that's what we have to deal with as a public, if we have to get counsel, to fight this, I just thought that, you as our board members, you should have the best interests of our community. And I would really appreciate that, and not be closed out of a meeting and feel like I got 90 days when I've grown up in this town my whole life, and it's going to affect my family. I will get counsel if I have to. But I just kind of feel that we've elected you all into this position, and I feel like, it shouldn't be one property owner who decides he wants to make $7,000 that's going to affect the rest of us. Thank you.
And
We all agree with you.
we're in agreement with you. We appreciate your passion for this.
Yeah.
And, that's
it.
to be commended. Keep that passion going, though.
Okay.
Get involved. Come to town board meetings
But
when you
remember-
see that it's on the agenda.
You're not going to stop them. You just have to put them in the right spot.
And
Well,
Bryce-
I would hope that you would help me stop them, not sit here and say you can't do anything about it, because I don't agree with
My daughter's
that.
one of your neighbors, and I'd love to, but our hands are tied in certain categories.
But she's not going to live there her whole life, is she? Like we are.
She's younger than you, and she better live there her whole life.
I hope she does. She's a great neighbor, and that's why I think we should work together on this. And I commend you for what you've done for the town. I've known you've done a lot of excellent things recently. I voted for you myself, and I thank you, and that's why I'm here, because I'm
Thank
looking
you.
at. All I ask is let's move it from Croton Falls Road.
I'm reading this.
Dixon.
We really can't, we really, what we're doing is we're opening a public hearing that the planning board should have.
I understand.
And Bryce, I just wanted to mention one thing. The board was very proactive. You guys were all talking about the signs that you saw because you didn't get letters. Years ago, we never had that. It was just like if you just listened or happened to be on the computer, oh, this is on tonight. And years ago, maybe, I don't know, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, we put in a thing where if there's an applicant before the planning board or zoning board, you have to put it up on your sign, because I've lived in this whole town my whole life, and even if it's not in my neighborhood, I still want to know what's going on. So if there's something on Route 6 that's going on, or Dixon Road, or, Croton Falls Road, and I go by and I see a sign, I want to be able to come to that meeting. And I wouldn't know about it because I'm not within that 500 feet or the 1,000 feet, or before, we never had the signs. So again, any suggestions you guys have on how we can better communicate, we're always open, but 6 years ago, we did put that in too. So I just wanted to let you know, like, we are being progressively,
Okay.
good
And
with
if I could
that.
just mention too, I was approached by Verizon as well to put up a tower on our property, and we denied it. We could have made $7,000 too. It would have been a great, chunk of change for us, but I don't want to do that to my neighbors. I don't think that's right. We live in Croton Falls Road is one of the most beautiful areas of the town. You have wooded area. How nice is it going to look to drive up the road and see this 180-foot tower? And that's the other thing I noticed in the town code. It's way above. The town is going to have to grant a variance for the height of this tower. It's more than double the size of what the town code requires. So, for you all to sit here and say to me that you have no control over it, but the town code says, I believe it's 60 feet, and this tower is going to be 185 feet, so that's more than 50% higher than what the town code allows for. So I beg to differ that, there's nothing that you can do sitting here.
Yeah. So
It's a
just
shame
make
that
sure
more
you
people
go.
don't have your mindset to say I wouldn't do that to their neighbors.
Yeah, yeah. And just make sure, like, all the people here, if there are in front of the zoning board or the planning board, make sure you all attend and get your neighbors to come and talk at them.
We were there tonight, but there was nothing was up, they told us to come here.
Yeah, because,
They didn't want to deal with it.
and, no, you have to understand, it's their job to deal with it. They want to deal with it, but they have to do it properly. Anybody can come here at any time and talk about anything. I did that for a long time. But it's becoming a public hearing for this, and we don't want to jeopardize you guys by saying the wrong thing in the wrong venue.
Context, yeah.
So please, don't think we're being rude, but when Greg says you really shouldn't speak anymore, it's for you. It's not for us. So please understand that.
Okay, and if I could just get one thing, down on the record. So, just so I can understand, when is the next meeting for this that the public can attend? Next Wednesday?
We don't know.
Has it been calendared?
For,
On the planning board, they're at least 2 weeks apart, and you have to check the agenda. I honestly don't know, but the agendas are posted beforehand, and you can attend, but if it's not a public hearing, the comment isn't allowed till the public hearing date, or dates.
See, over there, you can't talk after the meeting. You can only speak it there during the public hearing.
Okay.
You could show unison and support by sitting there during it.
Okay.
Greg, has one of them been referred to the zoning board, do you know?
No.
There's nothing on tomorrow night. I know
Nothing.
there's-
Nothing.
so Not that I'm aware of.
Completed application.
So what's the posting out on Croton Falls Road?
Nothing. It says, the sign says, this property is in front of the planning board.
Okay,
It'll stay there
yeah.
until it's not.
We have a posting requirement for zoning and planning applications. You put into the law probably
It was
7
one
or
of
8
the
years
laws
ago.
that you guys passed, which is very
Councilman
good.
McDonough's law.
So the neighbors,
That was yours.
That was her law.
so the
Correct.
neighbors
We're
know
aware.
something's going on.
Can I ask you respectfully, Mr. Borelli, you use that right away as well for your daughter's property. You don't have any interest in this tower as well?
Believe me, I have no interest in this tower.
Because I know you've put up other towers in the town, you've said it on other board meetings, but this one happens to be affecting my property.
Say that again?
This tower that's being proposed happens to affect my property.
My daughter,
Okay,
daughters, and mine, I helped her.
okay. But that's why I'm just asking you, say there's nothing you can do to help out here.
This is my homework.
Okay, because like I said, I've respect you. You've done things in this town that haven't been done, and I'll look at the the tank behind Gino's Pizzeria, things like that you've taken charge and done things positive for the town, and that's why I just think that.
I am who I am, and I speak with no filters.
I understand.
If anybody thinks I'm happy about this tower, they're wrong.
Any
Okay,
tower.
that's
Any
why I
tower
just-
in-
Any tower,
Any
any
tower in
tower.
residential area.
But this one, we're neighbors.
And that's why I asked for your strength, you know, to help in this
Bryce,
situation.
You have all our
Councilman
strength.
Borelli's been in the town hall
Sorry.
multiple times this week,
Mm-hmm.
researching this
Okay.
particular issue.
And that's all I ask, you know, I'm
Cell
just
tower-
asking, you
Cell
know,
tower issue.
for help here, you know, and,
You have the help of every board in this town, every board member on every board.
okay.
This is universal. As long as everybody understands,
All right,
these
yeah, thank
towers
you.
are coming.
See, but when you say that, that makes me feel like there's no help here. I mean, how can you
I'm just
say
being a
that when?
realist.
I went out, when I got the notification, I went back and challenged the professionals and the planner. I said, okay, guys, stop. I go, I drive through Katona, I drive through Cross River, I drive through Pound Ridge to get to work. I don't see them. Go ask them what they're doing. How can they stop them? And you know what? The town planner came back and said, John, that was a couple years ago. Katona, it's got 2 of them going up. Cross River Lewisburg has 2 of them going up. Pound Ridge has 2 of them going up. So a couple years ago, whatever they were doing, but guess what? And then I researched it, and I talked to a couple friends there, and they're like, they're coming up,
next
and we
5 years,
can't-
you're gonna
and we
see 'em
can't stop
everywhere.
'em.
It's not just here.
So, I mean, that was educational to me, because I thought there were towns out there that were actually squashing them, and I wanted to mimic that. But I'm actually found out that those towns, even Bedford has like 3 applications in front of them, and they're not able to stop them.
Okay, but, excuse me, Homeland Towers is a private company, right? It's not a federal company. So how can a private company go against local town laws that say you can't go higher than 50 feet?
They work for Verizon, and Verizon falls under the guides, under the direction of the FCC.
They're lobbyists.
Greg, will they still have to go for a variance to go above that 60-foot?
You know, I
mean,
wish I
didn't go to
don't want to
comment.
lie to
I'm
you.
not familiar with the application at all.
Okay.
I don't, if they need a variance from some of the bulk requirements like height, then they'll be referred. But I don't know that they will or they won't. I'm not familiar with the application.
Can I ask,
Why can't we
going
do that?
across New York City watershed or right-of-way, is that something that they will have to get a permission from?
Any type of activity, you would need a
Absolutely.
use and occupancy permit from DEP if you were going to cross it or occupy it, for certain. In any type of activity, your driveway,
And
whatever.
I personally see faults in the application myself, as a layman, so, for what that's worth.
Okay. All right, well, like I said, I thank you all for your time. You know, I didn't mean to keep you here late tonight. I know,
No, that's-
I
No,
know.
it's very,
it's,
it's
it's
one of the most
Thank you for
important topics
listening,
coming
and
up.
all I
important.
ask
Thanks.
is just to try to, you know, stick together on something like
Yeah.
this, and I don't want to be shut out where I feel like it's going to happen and I have no say. I just would like to voice my opinion, and if I have to deal with it, I'll deal with it, but I would like to at least be able to be heard and not feel like, you know, the rug is getting pulled from underneath me, because I haven't been notified, and
What that gentleman showed about the Long Island lawsuit, the town did win on its location. Okay, just on its location. Not saying it can't be done.
okay.
So you can fight City
Okay.
Hall, obviously.
Because even, you know,
But they had grounds, so.
you know, at all due respect, you know, where your daughter lives, it's a beautiful house. You know, it's an old farmhouse. You know, it's one of the original houses on Croton Falls Road, and I kind of feel like
1780.
if there's going to be a cell tower next to it or behind it, I just feel, you know, isn't that a historical thing that's going to be made to look horrible? And I just,
My daughter's on her honeymoon. I've been sitting on her porch with her dogs that I've been sleeping with for the last week, looking at the woods, visualizing what I'm gonna see there. If you think I'm happy about it, grossly mistaken.
can you speak to the landowner? I know
I no
he's an
longer know
acquaintance.
the landowner,
Right.
You don't know Mr. Deal?
not anymore.
Okay.
All right, Bryce, we have to,
On certain applications.
certain
you
things
can't
we
talk.
can't, we can
Okay.
talk, certain things
I understand.
we can discuss
Okay.
further, but
I
When
understand.
we bring up
Okay.
Cell towers in
applicants.
residential areas, we could talk about. We
Right.
can't talk about
Individuals.
the application on Dixon or the application on
Okay.
Croton Falls. It will hurt the case. They will hear this, and they will.
We're only helping them by prolonging this discussion.
Okay.
Right.
I understand. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Bryce. Yep.
Can I just ask one last thing? You had mentioned that there was a tower that was going to go on the back of the golf course that was denied. How was that refused?
I don't think it was denied. I think
No,
it was
it
just
was-
the county
it
who
was
was
the county.
discussing it as a
Right.
proposal.
Oh, a
It was
proposal.
a county,
I thought you said an application.
it-
was
it-
before.
it wasn't,
It was the golf course, Putnam County Golf Course near the airport property,
Yeah.
on the
Right.
county property.
County.
And they were going to do it for 911 and for
the first responder.
first responder.
First responder
thing.
communications.
And they went through site plan, but then that project just stopped.
It stopped. Yeah.
I don't know that it ever got there. They
Yeah.
came here and presented to you one night. and
Right.
I-
Yeah,
and
that
I think
wasn't, that wasn't,
That wasn't
that
the
wasn't, that
Relatively quick
wasn't a
answer.
private
But
communication.
as sad as that is, there was a homeowner at the end of Scott Road, and she came and she was very upset. They sold her house. She sold, that summer, last year, she sold her house, put it on the market, and they got out.
Yeah.
And it's not there. The tower is not there. And it was sad.
It was a preemptive thing.
Thank you for your
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Is there anyone else before we close the meeting?
My name's Skylar Ferdinandson. I live off of Croton Falls Road, Bayberry Hill, back behind there, basically right across the street from where they plan on building this tower. By them needing a variance, I'm guessing you already have laws prohibiting them from building towers on land like that. Is there a way where we can just make this a slash dot, never again will we ever hear a variance issue for towers like this? Can this be the last time we hear this presented by a resident? Like, we don't even want to hear that.
That's not
Stop.
how-
I don't think it works that way.
That's not how it works. All right, fair enough.
You're asking for permission, you're asking for a variance of the code.
Right.
That's what the ZBA is there, so you'll never stop that,
Okay.
but they have the criteria that they have to meet in order to pass the
All right.
variance.
So coming forward, we have to just pay attention to the schedules for the planning board or zoning?
Planning,
Planning
both,
board
actually
and
both,
zoning.
planning and
Zoning
zoning.
board.
Right, and then it's Verizon trying to build both towers off Dixon and Croton?
I don't know.
I don't know if, yeah,
Same company.
Same company?
same company is, the applicant.
Usually, it's a company that builds the towers, and then they lease to multiple providers
Okay.
for the largest stream of income, and then they say, here, landowner, here's your portion of what we're getting in our royalties, so that you allow us to continue to have an easement here, continue to allow us to operate here. But they will get as many providers as the FCC will grant them on that tower.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks for being here. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on, doesn't have to be on the cell tower topic, it's any town new business open forum? Yes, ma'am?
Yes, it has to be.
The
we
question
don't-
was, does this have to be
Right.
approved
We
by
have no
New York
idea.
We have
We
no
know they
idea.
have to cross their property. So
They-
I would think they'd have to prove to the planning board that they have the right to cross that property.
Okay, is there anyone else? All right, there being none, thank you all for being here. I know you're very passionate about this because it affects your neighborhood, and I don't blame you for being here. But we're on top of it. We understand your concerns, and we're going to be following this also. And, hopefully, there'll be some type of resolution to this where it's not going to be in your backyard. We don't want it in anybody's backyard, but as Councilman Borelli stated, it's hard to stop these cell companies, these cell towers from being installed, but maybe we can control where they're being installed. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, if you're going to speak, you really do have to come up. I'm sorry. Just give us your name.
Here on town property, right here, this vicinity right here.
We have one.
Oh, we have one.
Is that the one with the flagpole?
Yes, it's disguised as a flagpole, but that's filled, it's hollow, but it's filled with all kinds of antennas and things like that. Communicate. There's another one up on the hill off of Crest Drive. Everybody can see that one. It's up off of Senior Avenue. The tall one, that's another communications
One
tower.
of the original ones that was built.
Yeah,
So they couldn't put another one here, like on this side of the street where, it's not a possibility? I mean, a little further away, up the road from Croton Falls, but
We're gonna,
They're gonna look
Well,
at.
they're gonna look at
they're
other
gonna look at
sites.
They're gonna look at sites, appropriate sites, which hopefully are not in residential.
Alternative locations. Thank you. Okay, is that it?
No.
Oh,
Ah, then.
all right, the newbie, the newcomer.
Hi there. Yeah,
Welcome.
I'm
Thanks
maybe
for
the
being here.
youngest
Yeah.
member of
Yeah.
Carmel now. Yeah, I moved in recently. Still feel like I'm unpacking. It's been almost a full year. So I just wanted to say, it sounds like you're hearing our concerns, and I appreciate that. In a lot of cases, it quite literally is my backyard, my side yard. If I look out my deck, it's going to be there. So I'm very concerned, like everybody else would be. So I appreciate hearing our concerns. I personally didn't know what I was getting myself into tonight, so I am very encouraged by my fellow Carmelians. I guess I don't know what the official term is. I'm still learning. I'm still
neighbors.
unpacking.
Good.
But yeah, so I want to just thank everyone here and everyone here. I'm still trying to address everybody here for this, and I am happy to help however I can. That's kind of at them. And just wanted to say thank you for hearing our concerns, because this is very important to me. I moved out of New York for a reason. Particularly that area is wooded and beautiful, and even today I saw deers running through there on Dixon, in case anyone's not sure where.
Yep.
And I just feel that that's going to be impacted. My wife and I like to leave out bird seed and see all the different animals, so like kind of in love with, all of the new wildlife.
Nature, yes.
Yeah, in New
It's
York,
nice.
the only wildlife is rats and pigeons, so I'm enjoying seeing not rats and pigeons. So just want to say thank you for hearing our concerns, and I'm hoping you guys will fight for us, and I will fight with you guys. So there. So that's all. I just wanted to put that out there. So
Thank you.
Welcome to the
Thank you,
neighborhood.
yeah, welcome. Yeah,
And best thing that you can do to
Yeah.
help is organize. You guys need to have an organized front where everybody knows the dates for the meetings, get everybody out, get everybody vocal. Best thing you could do is let your voice be heard.
great, thanks.
And you guys definitely did that tonight, but while we're one board, the boards that will make the decision are the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Planning Board. So make sure that you let this same unified voice be heard in front of those boards as well.
See, now that you got that one visit to the podium out of the way, you're good now, right? Yeah. You're good for coming up next time, right?
You can come every Wednesday.
Yeah. There you go, you broke the ice, see? Good for you, proud of you. All right, so, that's it, right? Okay, all right, I have a couple of announcements to make, so if you guys just,
Just have one too, just so you know.
all right, so if everybody just wants to stick around for this, because it involves the whole community. Hello, guys? Shh, just give me 2 more minutes. All right, the Greater Mahopac Carmel Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Chamber of Commerce over there, Mike Celestino. The Mahopac Street Fair is this coming Sunday, right in downtown Mahopac. It's a great event. If you haven't been there yet, you guys probably haven't been there yet, right? Oh, make sure you come out for that. It's this Sunday, September 30th, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. All right, right downtown, you're going to see all kinds of vendors. Mike, is it sold out?
The vendors.
The vendors, yeah, how many vendors do you have? Over 120 vendors. That's awesome. So the weather is supposed to be nice. I checked the forecast out. It's supposed to be sunny Saturday and Sunday, so it's going to be a good day for it. So everybody, please take some time out of your day on Sunday to visit the Mahopac Street Fair. But what you also get is a parade that day also. The Columbus Day Parade is September 30th, this Sunday, at 2:30 p.m. And it starts at Lake Cassie Road, which is right up the street here from Town Hall, and they march west on 6. The St. Patty's Day Parade marches east. Columbus Day Parade, they march west, and it ends right at 6 and 6N where the street fair is, by the Chamber of Commerce. So that's this Sunday at 2:30 is the parade. So you can start by going to the street fair at 11 a.m., and then you could take some time out of that, Mike, so they can watch the parade. So after they watch the parade go by, then everybody files back into the street fair. It's really nice. There's a lot of food there that day, a lot of great vendors. So it's really a great day this Sunday. So it was sponsored by, ad sponsored by Susie, John, and Jonathan sponsored this ad for the Columbus Day Parade.
Well, sponsored by the Italian American.
So thank you.
The Italian American Club.
Yeah, thank you for helping pay for the ad. Great job, guys.
And Kenny, I just had one thing, since it's dark, I probably won't notice it, but this past Saturday or Sunday, we had 67 eighth grade students here from the Mahopac Middle School. And they did all of the landscape, and they worked for like 4 or 5 hours towards community service for their eighth grade Washington trip. And they really did a phenomenal job. And Jimmy Gilchrist was here, and Dave Fafaro, the principal, assistant principal, some teachers, some parents actually stayed. I don't think they actually weeded, but the kids weeded and mulched and everything. So I wanted to give a shout out to them and a big thank you.
Yeah,
to
they
them.
did a
It
great
looked
job.
Really nice.
Very noticeable.
Yeah,
I
it came
came
out
in and I
nice.
was like, what happened while I was
you?
gone?
Yes, yeah.
I wasn't sure
I
if
was
we
so
got
proud of
another
them.
team out, but that's great.
Yeah.
Eighth graders really stepped up.
Yep, yep. So, you know, I want to thank my sister Lynn. I think she, you know, she called me, says, do you guys need something over there? And I was like, yep. So this will be nice.
Why
But I
isn't she
just
here
wanted to
tonight?
thank you. She's in Spain. Yeah.
Okay,
That's it
anybody
for
else?
me.
John, do you have anything else?
No,
Any announcements?
please, yeah, go out, support the Italian American Club for the
Yeah.
Columbus Day Parade. It's a great parade. You'll see all your local civic organizations out there, and go out to the street festival. Year after year, it gets bigger and bigger. It's a great time for the family. You get to meet a lot of different business owners from the town. You get to see a lot of your neighbors out there, and it really is a great time for kids. So if you do have families, bring them out there, because you think that they always have activities. Usually have some bouncy houses, usually have some other face painting activities, things like that. But it's a great day. The weather's going to be nice. Please get out there and show support for the town. It's one of those events that really makes this town very unique.
Great, thanks, Jonathan. Thank you, Susie. Okay, so I need a motion to close the meeting. So moved by Councilwoman McDonough, seconded by Councilman Schneider. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night, everyone. We'll be back here next Wednesday for a town board voting meeting. Good night, be well. Thanks for